Hello, everyone. You one person that's watching.
Oh, why, hello.
We are Dustin and Tyler with Skottie Talk, episode 43, with our special guest, Derek Laufman. Uh,
He's
so we're
having a little
so,
bit of
yeah,
he's having some car trouble. He'll be here
we're having
in
some
just a few moments.
difficulties, so
So
we're still he's currently waiting. Oh goodness, we already got multiple comments.
awesome,
All the
awesome.
comments.
Let's just read the
Shane,
comments.
Seth,
Derek will be
Britton
here.
draws. The
Let's
watch
see.
numbers are always off. Yeah, true. The watch numbers are always off.
That's me. The watch
Unless
numbers
I
are.
wonder if that's. I'm assuming that's got to be a Streamyard thing versus YouTube. Um, yeah, Dustin's having some technical difficulties, as
Yeah,
you might have
a little
gathered
bit of a
from the
freak out.
frozen frame.
Yeah, it's, but I'm getting. Hey,
The
on
new,
a positive note, before Derek comes on
yeah,
in just a few minutes, yeah, Wi-Fi will be installed in my house tomorrow with a what is it? What did I say? 1 gig.
yes.
I'm getting a new
What were
router,
you on?
so
You were on 10 megabyte or 100 megabyte?
I think I was on four. I was like four kilobytes. So, um,
Yeah, Dustin was on 1 byte of internet. Oh,
oh, thank the
one
Lord.
byte of internet.
There we
Okay, we
go.
don't have to
Okay,
kill time anymore.
okay. But yeah, the internet connection will be better next week. Unfortunately, Derek is with us this week, so hopefully we don't botch it too bad. So,
Yeah, Dustin asked for it to be tonight. Unfortunately, they were not able to get to him in time.
yeah, we're
So
gonna miss it by about 13 hours. So, but
yeah,
yeah, Dustin was dial up. Yeah. Uh, just hopefully my mom does not call and knock me off the line again. So
yeah.
fingers crossed.
Unbeknownst to you, like what you don't see with the wall of art behind Dustin is he's actually inside a cave. That's all just a
Yeah.
fabricated background to throw you off. So
Yeah, I know.
um,
I love the fact that people tuned in to see superstar artist Derek Laufman tonight, and they're hearing about my crappy internet connection. I mean, this is what you pay for, folks. You can't get any better than this. But what you all can't see is we see Derek's desk, and he has some amazing art.
I
One of
know.
the
Yeah,
a cover art that I am craving so bad uh, is being
he
showed to us
he
right now.
already
So
called dibs on it. Okay,
yeah.
just want to put that out there.
Oh man, just that one square that we're seeing is worth it. If you guys could
Yeah.
see this, you all would be blown
Yeah, I don't know if
away.
yeah, I don't know if I throw him up or
Go ahead, go ahead. We'll
if
make
we
sure in
wait
case
on the
Derek's
other. I don't know if he'll be able to hear us.
I can hear
we
you guys.
okay.
Oh, okay. Oh wow.
All right. Hey Derek,
Hey,
we
How is it
apologize.
going?
The
no, it's okay.
shenanigans.
It's all good. I'm having some technical issues with my other camera. I don't know why it won't connect.
Don't worry about it, dude.
It's
We're
one of.
So
It
that's
seems to be one of
yeah.
those nights. Yeah.
so you just
Yeah,
get to see the artwork tonight, not my pretty face.
uh, man, I was running up and down my stairs about 50 times before you came on, so I have probably lost about five
Mm,
pounds tonight. So, oh my gosh, yes, that's what people came here for.
gorgeous, gorgeous,
Can you see that
gorgeous.
okay?
Yes,
Is,
Yes.
sir.
is
Yes.
it
Perfectly
okay if I
clear.
go that I'm like in portrait mode? Is that all right?
Oh no, that's
Yeah. No.
perfect.
Yeah. Totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever works best for you. That's great.
Then you guys can hear me okay? Because I usually have another mic, but that's not working either. I don't know. SteamYard doesn't like my setup.
You're crystal clear. You
That's great.
sound
Yeah,
really
you're
well.
coming in. Yeah,
Really good.
perfectly clear. So.
Okay, great.
Oh, great comments coming in. Beautiful killer piece.
Yeah.
Shane says sound is good, so everything's
Painted on
great.
Substack.
And what's crazy, this self portrait that you did, Derek, that we've got up on the slideshow. Can you see the screen okay? Or
Sort of like it's on. I can only see on my phone, which is like above me. I'm like I can kind of peek
yeah.
and see. It's yeah, it's a bit of a ghetto setup I got going here.
No. That's yeah. You're right at
I,
home, my
I, I
friend.
swear I had like a really nice thing all ready to go, and then it wouldn't connect to like my camera. I don't know why. Like it's, I probably have to uninstall something. I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
that's
you're
like unplug thing, plug it back, like the random. Just when you need it to work, it doesn't, and then as soon as the show ends, it's like boom, it's working again.
Yeah, well, I don't use StreamYard ever, so there's little hiccups. Like I don't know. It wants me to use this like program called iRune. I don't know what it is. That I guess I had installed. Maybe I have to uninstall it to get it to like not because it only wants to select that program, and I'm not using that program.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, for
So
like
I don't know.
options, yeah, that come up. Yeah, weird.
It's weird.
well, Derek. Welcome to the show. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming on here. I mean, spending a Wednesday night with me and Tyler. We're very appreciative of it and getting to see some of this exceptional art is
Yes.
great. But before we get into the I Hate Fairyland art, we do want to touch a little bit on your career. What's funny is this picture. That's why I was asking if you see the screen. The picture that
Yeah, I
Tyler
can
put
see.
up
I can
there.
see.
Okay, the picture of your self portrait. For the longest time, I thought the portrait of the knight was your self portrait, like with the beard and that. I was mistaken. Yeah, and whenever I saw you on the Skottie show on the Skottie YouTube, I was like, well, that doesn't look like Duncross. So I thought you had kind of, but this is a great portrait. You did a wonderful job on the Skottie YouTube show. So, and I've heard nothing but good things. Skottie even messaged me and is like, "You guys are going to love Derek."
Oh, that's
So,
nice.
yeah. So welcome to the show, man. We'll get kicked off
Thank
here.
you.
And Tyler did a lot of prep here on the early stuff, so I'll let him take over that part
Yeah, I
of it.
saw
and
this.
just
I saw the work on those slides. It's a lot of work, man. Good job.
No, thank you. I had to outdo. I had to go just as good, if not better, than Brett Bean's slides. So it's like
Nice.
only the artist slides that I really shell out for, which I'm sure Dustin really appreciates.
Yeah, I do the normal weeks. He does the extra special,
Oh, that's
after
awesome.
school. Yeah.
No, it's
All
a
right.
blast. Like Dustin said, it's so great to have you on, and yeah, we really appreciate you spending your time with us. So
My pleasure.
Okay, when we first got this started, Derek, this was like, what was this episode? Oh, it says episode 4.
yeah, episode 4. Yeah,
We did a very unfortunate title for an episode called "That Feeling You Can Only Say What It Is in French." It was deja vu based upon a Stephen King short story. I tried to get too cute for the show, and it did not go over well. This is only has like 17 views, but one of the kind of the background of it was what artist kind of gives you that same feeling that Skottie's art does. And you were on Tyler's list. He called it pretty early on. This was well before, any of the announcement of you being on the regular run of issue 41 through I Hate Fairyland. So I was complimenting Tyler on. Oh, he added the Xavier picture in there. Nice job. That's really,
yeah, I
didn't see that.
added me as a mime reader.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was as soon as you were announced for the Untold Tales, I was like, wow, that's so awesome. I was like, I love Derek. I love your work, Derek. Seeing you come into the I Hate Fairyland world, I was like, this is perfect. Like such a great pairing. And then yeah, I mean, this obviously we had no idea that you would then become the next artist on the I Hate Fairyland series run. So yeah, it was just funny because I think it was like the week after we had this video was when you announced it, or when it was announced. And both Dustin and I were like, no way. Like, that's hilarious. We were literally just
Yeah.
talking about Derek's work being comparable or, comparable. And now, he's the next artist. So
Yeah, and I think I emailed Derek and congratulated him on the new run, and I made sure and mentioned that Tyler had called it. So, very Nostradamus-like. Very good job.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I appreciate the support. I mean, it's an awesome community, and you guys have been so welcoming, and yeah, it just makes me feel like right at home.
no,
We're
that's
glad.
awesome, man.
Oh.
Yeah, Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
My contribution to tonight. But yeah, before we get into the discussion, it's a fan favorite segment. Yeah, there is a graph coming up. It's chart time with Dustin. Skottie, we're both right. Skottie loves to mention this point, the fact that you have approximately 30,000 more Instagram followers than he does.
Yeah.
So I had to do a chart just to demonstrate the vast difference. But when you compare it to mine and Tyler's combined Instagram followers, I had to stretch this chart so wide to make that red show up there, but yeah,
Oh, that's funny.
It's on there, but yeah. Everybody
so
appreciates
good.
the charts. They love the charts.
It's funny enough. I didn't see your little contribution there when you sent me the slides.
I had it. Yeah, it took me a second
probably-
pass through to be like, wait a minute, who is? I was like, oh, we're on there too. I was like, okay, well, that's just
Well,
that's
I
great.
just put myself on there, and I felt bad because my number was even less than that, so I had to put Tyler's numbers to at least make the red show somewhat.
to
So,
balance it out exactly.
yeah, so thanks, Tyler.
No, happy to help.
All right, thanks, Shane. Have a
Yeah.
great night at work, man. Take it easy.
If it makes you feel any better, I think most of my followers are bots. So
Hey, it counts. If it's a number, it counts.
So like Dustin said, we just kind of wanted to start off just kind of getting into your career and how it all started.
Sure.
And I thought it was really interesting. Similar to Brett Bean, it seemed like you started off in the game industry, and then you wound your way up into professional comic artist, illustrator, freelance artist. I couldn't find too much. And funny enough, because I was not stalking, but pretty much stalking. I saw you just created a LinkedIn because that's where I found all of Brett's information. So I was like scouring any piece of the internet to be like, okay, what game art wise. But I saw that it seemed like you did like game sprites. I think it was mentioned somewhere.
Yeah. So I mean, I can talk about that stuff. So I studied classical animation in college, Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario. I did that for a 3-year program. And after I left there, I had aspirations of doing comics and sort of had like a bad situation in comics that sort of soured me on the industry. And so I left and went into video games after that. So I was in video games for about 10 years. And during that time, like it wasn't like the coolest video games. They were kind of like flash games, stuff that was like played on PC. Um, it was like games for like geared towards like middle-aged women at one point in time. That was like a big market, like the Flash.
That's fair. Yeah, the
space.
Facebook games.
Yeah, Facebook games and all that stuff. So it was like games kind of geared towards that. I did like pixel art stuff on like my first GBA game was like Atomic Betty. It was based on like a TV series.
Oh, and
awesome. Yeah, so that like threw me right into like the pixel art sort of world. Working on that game, I got to animate the characters and everything for that. And yeah, I did like, you know, it's just like a lot of like little crappy games that weren't really like making me too excited to to work in games. But it was paying the bills and all that stuff, and that was good. But you know, there was like a limit to like how much you can kind of like grind away at a job you're not like loving and super inspired by. So I had left to start my own game studio after 5 years with a friend of mine, a programmer, and we gave that a go in like a very competitive. I guess this was like 2010 to 2015. We tried to make our studio work, but it was tough. It was like you make a few dollars on a game and then you'd like, you know, struggle with the next game wouldn't sell, and you'd spent like 3-4 months working on it, and then you're like, oh, all that money down the tube. So my cat shit. He wanted to make an appearance.
Oh, that's fine.
To be on the show.
We are pet friendly around here.
So that was like kind of games, and games didn't really work out the way I hoped. And I had the opportunity I was getting back into freelance, and so Sean Galloway had reached out to me he'd been commissioned to do World of Warcraft Pearls of Pandaria. It was like a graphic novel. It was like 124 pages, something like that.
Nice.
And he asked if I wanted to come help with storyboarding it, because he kind of had it run like a bit of like an animation studio almost. He had like cleanup artists, and like he was like art director on it. So I got to kind of board it, and it was kind of like a nice like jump back into storytelling, like sequentially through comics. And so that was like, it threw me like kind of like right into the fire, and it was kind of good, and it kind of sparked me to get back into comics. And that was sort of like, I owe it to him for like my sort of resurgence into the comics world. And that was like somewhere around 2014.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
yeah, because I saw I've when researching or going back through, I saw Sean Galloway seems to be a really close friend of yours, and the interaction between you two, and I saw at one point he'd kind of like mentored you, or like gave like helped give you advice and stuff. I think it was like a podcast that I was listening to, I mean his work is awesome. Yeah, for those who don't know Sean Galloway's art, definitely go search him up on Instagram and other social media. His art is fantastic. So.
Yeah. So like, and he was like kind of part of Skottie's world too, around that time. And I sort of like knew Skottie and his sort of crew back in like the message board days of like Lead Heavy.
Yeah.
I was kind of like that kid kind of peeking in through the fence, like being like, hey guys, can I come play with you guys? It's so cool.
Yeah, what you guys up to?
And so that was kind of like me at the time. Like we're all around the same age. And so I was just kind of envious. I'm like, oh, they're like the cool kids over there. I want to go play with them. But I wasn't cool enough, I guess. And it's just kind of funny. Like that's kind of like where I got to know Skottie, early on.
Awesome.
Well, that's cool. I mean, those early connections are paying off now. I mean, look where you're at now. It's really an incredible turnaround to follow that group. And Skottie even mentioned through one of his podcasts, and I think at the panel at Heroes, about the group that was in that Lead Heavy, that they're all kind of superstars in their own right now. So
Yeah.
you picked the right group to follow, and then
Well,
now it's paid off. You're doing
yeah.
really well for yourself now.
Well, I was going to say, I'd be curious, is if that if the comic industry is similar to the game industry, where it's fairly small, so it's like you're going to work with people probably multiple times, or see familiar faces, and I'm sure the comic industry is probably the same, where it's like you get to know people, you work with those same people, kind of deal.
Yeah, no, I think that I'd say even more so in comics. It feels even like smaller. And I think also like in comics, you're front facing. Like where in the video game industry, it's all like behind the scenes stuff, for the most
True.
part. So you're kind of like a cog in the wheel. And sure, like, I mean, if you got to work with like a certain, say art director or something like that, if they move to another company, they might like pull you over or whatever. But yeah, like in comics, it's a little more, it definitely helps to sort of like be out there, have your face out there, sharing your artwork and all that stuff, because it really, it's front facing,
Yeah.
in that industry.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a good point because, like you said, yeah, with the game industry, it's more like you said, just being a cog in the wheel. People don't know your face because you're just another artist in the credits. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then freelancing, you've done work from some of the biggest companies, and like Marvel, DC, Star Wars. These are just a few of the
Oh yeah, I go back
examples.
to I jumped
Um,
ahead, but
no. I was gonna say, yeah, you
so,
can see the names there. The board games I have there in the top right. Just an awesome, just collection of art. So
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No, I've had a really fortunate sort of career in freelance. Like my fan art sort of led to me doing a lot of work with Marvel and DC, and um doing like the pin designs I think you were showing there for like Star Wars
yeah,
Celebration. That was
mhm.
a fun gig to get. Yeah, a lot of board games and stuff. A lot of like that's when I was doing chibi art. I was sort of I was coming from video games. I was doing a lot of game sprites where it was like the same type of ideas like chibi art where you have like a big head and like small body.
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
was kind of transitioning that into like my like illustrations, and then later learned it was called like chibi art. And I also at the time, like I think Skottie was doing the baby stuff, and I was like, how do I separate myself from that? Because he was sort of well
Yeah.
known,
yeah,
for doing the baby stuff, and that was sort of in that sort of chibi world as well. So I really wanted to like stand away from him and not try to like ape what he was
yeah.
doing. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like my sort of foray into fan art, but that landed me like a ton of gigs doing that stuff back then.
No, for sure. Yeah, and you've got a really good if people go to your website and your blog, you've got a really good article or post you made about that, fan art and your relationship to it and how that, transition into a lot of the work that you received, but then also kind of like the negative sides of it, or like, the opposite side where, the grass isn't always greener in a sense, or things, like you said, I think you put it well, where, things change, and
Mhm.
something that you started out loving might not be what you love in a few years, give or take. So I definitely
Yeah,
recommend going to read that. So
there's something like
Yeah.
I don't want to ever become like complacent with my art style, and I didn't want to become known as a chibi artist per se,
yeah,
because that's kind of where it was headed, and I could really have leaned into it. There's been some artists that have leaned into it, like I'd seen over the years, and I'm like, I don't really want that to be my thing. And I think like, Skottie is a good example of like how he's able to bridge like, hey, I do this thing, but then I do all these other things as well,
yeah,
and sort of like a good example of like you got to keep that, yourself like open to more things. You don't want to just become pigeonholed to like this like one trick pony sort of thing.
yeah.
No, absolutely.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, becoming stagnant as an artist is an easy way to quickly kind of shoot yourself in the foot, and can end up hurting you or like most likely will hurt you in the long run, because yeah, I mean, if you're not, it's ever shifting and changing the industry and what people like, and obviously to just adapting and growing as an artist. So
100%.
All
Next
right. So we
slide.
got some of your create. Yeah, I was
Yeah, I was
popping
gonna
up
say,
your
yeah, because then
some of the
that leads,
creator-owned work.
straight into, a lot of your creator-owned work, as well as I Hate Fairyland stuff that's coming out. But yeah, I mean, just such great books, from your first comic, Ruin World, Bot 9, Witch of Wickerson, the Crimson Falls series that you've got going on. Yeah, I guess, just kind of, I'd be curious, how that transition, Ruin World, how did that start? That transition of like, hey, I want to make my own stuff now,
Mhm.
and then going from the chibi stuff to that.
Yeah, so I think that was like part of it was, doing fan art. You don't own anything, right? And so there was that sort of, and then it was combination of realizing like, I don't really have any ownership over this work, and also like my sort of, I've been strongly desiring to really get more into the comic world and dive and scratch that itch. And it was sort of like for a long time I'd been sort of hesitant to write my own stuff. And Rune World was like the first project where I really just dove in and go, you know what, I'm just gonna fail along the way and figure this out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was like, it was a great learning experience. Like there's things I did wrong with it. Like it's not perfect by any means, but certainly there was some positive things that came out of that. I had my first publishing deal with Boom Studios from it.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to kind of like, get a taste of that, that whole thing. And yeah, so it was just like in that, but it really sparked my sort of like desire to just do comics more regularly and to not be scared to write them. I'm still learning to write my own stuff. It's still a process. Like I don't have a, ABC. This is how I go about writing.
Yeah.
I'm
No, for
constantly
sure.
like, and maybe I'll never have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the more I do write my own stuff, the more I realize that like some days I need to write a couple pages of script to get to the next point of the story, and sometimes I just have to storyboard it out and like write it right on the page. And I'm kind of all over the place with my process. But I think that's one thing I've learned kind of along the way is like every project's different. Almost every sometimes scene in a comic is different of how I'm going to approach it. So.
No, yeah, and I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying, of being stuck in that art style. I feel like the same applies to writing or even just the process itself. Doing the same process. Repetition is great and a routine is nice, but that can sometimes pigeonhole you or get you, scope down and breaking that can break you free of that those chains. So
100%.
Well, we're fixing to discuss a little bit about Crimson Fall, but I just want to pick your brain. How long does it take you? Because the first book that you wrote, Lambs of God, was shorter than the second book. How
Correct.
long does it take you from, say, script or concept to actually hitting the publishing house to print the book out?
So let's see. It's hard to equate exact time because I sort of do it in my free time. So, it's roughly, I would say, let's say, okay, it was 56 pages for Shore Tower. I would probably say it took me 5 to 6 months of actual like working time, but I was
Oh,
putting it
wow.
together over the course of like a year, just kind of like working on it when I could. Sometimes you'd hit like really good pace and like find time to really dig in, and I could get like a ton done. I'm sort of like when I can get laser focused, I can get a lot done. But there's a lot of times when I'm writing my own stuff, I'll hit walls and then I sort of just back off. And I'm sort of like that right now with the next Crimson Falls story, where I'll like, I had a good writing spurt and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like this is going well. And then I kind of hit a bit of a wall creatively. And just the other week, I'm like, I need to start boarding out some pages because I'm just kind of stuck on the writing side, and I hate that I'm not moving forward. So I'm like, at least I know my opening scene pretty well, so I can start banging that out. And so I just started working away, and that's just again like part of the process. Like I hate being stuck for so long, um, and yeah, but it's just that's just I think when you're making your own book and you're writing it, you're lettering it, coloring it, when you're involved on that level, it can be good and bad, because I don't have someone else to sort of like come in and go, hey, let's do this. I have to fight with myself, fight with my own ideas constantly second guess myself, and that does sometimes slow me down a little bit. Yeah, it's an interesting process, but it's kind of like kneading clay. I have like this ball of clay, and eventually
Yeah.
it'll turn into something I like.
Yeah, it
but
takes form. Well,
but
5 to 6 months is really I mean, that's a quick turnaround considering it's pretty much 3 comics, yeah, into one book. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
lengthy book. So yeah,
yeah,
when you said 5 to 6 months, that's really impressive knowing that you've got other projects going on in the
Yeah.
meantime. So
Just the free time. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. No, it's it's a grind, but it's worth it when you got that book in your hand.
And it's really for anybody, we're going to really push this book tonight because it is really good. If
Yeah, both of
Thank you.
these, yeah, are just super, super great reads. I'm super excited for the next one. I was gonna mention too, you list
before we
your,
get
I
into
believe
it,
it's your partner who's editor in the books. Do you ever bounce ideas off of her? Or is that more so kind of like helping clean up, after the fact, or?
Yeah. No, my wife's very I mean she works quite a bit, but when she works part-time as a secretary at school. So she's occasionally at home, and when I do have her ear, I'll try to like talk it off as much as I can. Um I find that it's just nice to have like a sounding board just to kind of like
Yeah,
when you start hearing your ideas out loud, it starts to really sort of make, either make sense or show you where the flaws are. And to my wife's credit, her skill set isn't necessarily on the creative side so much, but she's good at like, sort of telling me if something's not working. um,
yeah,
right? That's
and
helpful. Very helpful.
yeah, for
always
sure.
good.
And then also like she fixed all my like bad grammar and
Yeah, that's good too.
and all that stuff. So that, yeah, I'm really helpful to have her for that.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and that's, the other part of it too is, when you're doing these Kickstarters for say, your creations, art books,
Hmm.
Crimson Fall and all this stuff, you said it's all you. I mean, you're not only creating the book, but you're having to make sure it gets printed, it looks right, get everything packaged, all the extra bits that you're getting,
Yeah.
everything sent out and everything. I mean, it's I can only
Well,
imagine the amount of work that it entails.
yeah, well, that's where my wife Valerie comes in, really handy, is that she handles all my shipping, like everything for my online
Mm,
store, for my Kickstarter campaigns. She's a master at it. She's been doing it for 7 years now,
yeah.
since I opened an online shop, and yeah, she's just got it down to a science. She doesn't let me touch like stuff when it's going out. She's like, "Don't touch it. I'll do it the way I need to do it," and
Yeah.
yeah, but she's amazing. Like it's I wouldn't be able to have my business run the way it runs without her.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so that's super cool, and yeah, super grateful to have her do that, because I wouldn't be able to do all these Kickstarter campaigns and print and ship my own books, and I wouldn't have time to do any work. you know.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, yeah, with everything that it entails. No, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's, I equate it to, John it's Stupid Fresh Mess, all the packing and everything he does. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
such an important job because it's a lot. And, especially when it's just, you and maybe one other person or a few people, trying to get everything shipped out, let alone, like you said, create the things to ship out and give to people. So, um, yeah, no, I love all your Kickstarters. These are available on his website. So if you go to his this
Yeah,
is this is the directly the shop link. You can
we're
pick
gonna
up,
throw
I
up those
believe, all
links
three
throughout the
still
night.
right now of these creation books. So um
yeah, and those are all like original art in those books. Yeah, just like I kind of made a collection of various ideas I've had for stories that never really always went somewhere. But then there's the stories that I've done, like Crimson Fall, Bot 9, Rune World. So there's a lot of concept art from those books in there. So I kind of just like have it like just be a collection of, history of like what I've been doing over the years.
no,
Yeah, the
yeah,
the
and
bottom
I've
right
got a
corner.
few,
Oh,
yeah, a
Mhm.
sorry,
few.
Tyler.
Oh, I was just gonna say that, yeah, there's pages up there, representative of the books, but yeah, I mean these are really awesome. Like you said, they're just chock full of Derek's own stuff, and you'll see, like you said, Witch of Wickerson,
Mhm.
Crimson Fall, all that stuff, and yeah, I definitely recommend picking these up and adding them to the collection. So you can take this one, Dustin, if you want.
I hope my video allows me to, man. I'm freezing up versus
Your audio is coming through clear.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
I
is
can hear you.
painful. I just goofy. I'm looking down and seeing a goofy look frozen on the screen. So we'll try. We'll try to make it work. Yeah, this is the one that I did some research on after because I'm going to be honest, Eric. I hadn't read the books. Tyler's been telling me to pick them up, and I've been planning on it. And you were kind enough to drop us some PDFs in a Dropbox, and I read through them, and I mean I flew through them, and I was like, all right, where's book 3 at? And I realized there is no book 3. But yeah, this is such an incredible read. And your description, you've said Hellboy meets The Witcher, and then another description you said with a splash of Game of Thrones in there,
Yeah.
and that is such an accurate description of these books, and they're one solid adventure. Both books are one solid adventure each, and we've got some pages just to kind of highlight some of the art from it, but I've never heard the name pronounced. Am I saying the name Duncross? Duncross?
Duncross. Yeah.
Duncross. Okay. I was hoping because I hate it when you have an artist on and you butcher his creation's name.
Oh no, it's all good.
So he's hired to investigate. Father McKellen is with him as his scribe, his sidekick, and I'm a big McKellen fan. I see a lot of myself in him, so
Nice.
very appreciative. And then Tyler, well done with this image here.
Thank you.
McLean versus the Hound equals, and Tyler
you take
took
both
it.
of those, you get a princess, or in this case, Sir Duncross. So,
If anyone's wondering what Derek looks like, that is him on the. I start to the right, on the left. I'll give my distance right.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So. But here's some of the concept art that you had for Duncross, and I love this character. This is such a good, cool character. Not just the design of him, but the way you write for him. And when you said, okay, I see the Hound, but whenever I read the dialogue, I'm like listening to Bruce Willis, the wisecracking, the wisecracking that he does. So cool. I can't recommend this book enough for anybody that hasn't had a chance to pick it up yet.
Yeah, it's a weird thing when I say, like, it's like the Hound like meets John McClane, because they're obviously from two very different worlds, but
very different.
But yeah, it's like the way that like John McClane sort of sees the world, and also the way he'll throw himself into situations.
yeah.
Yes.
You can tell there's like that little bit of like hesitation, like in this like sigh, like, okay, we're gonna do this. And it's like in him to be heroic, but he kind of fights it a little bit. He that's at least the performance I got. Like when I watched Die Hard, he's kind of got that little bit of reluctance, like, oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And also just I like the grittiness of like a John McClane, like the way he like will fight like with everything he has to sort of survive. He's not the biggest guy necessarily, in the situation, like, and Duncross finds himself in situations like that where even though he's a big brooding guy himself and he's fighting these bigger monsters, he's gonna need that like, I'm gonna you're gonna have to kill me to stop me sort of mentality.
Well, there's a scene, and I'm not going to give away any spoilers for the new book, but there's a scene in the new book where he's dragging himself up the stairs, and he's got this inner monologue going on, and he gets to the top of the stairs, and he's like, not too late to turn back, and that's what I'm hearing. I'm seeing McClane like dragging himself through the towers, trying to figure out how to survive, how to get through this. Exactly. So that was when it really came through what you were getting at whenever you said that hybrid mix.
Right.
And I just wanted to call out too real quick that far right one. That's by Max Grech.
Yes,
just
amazing artist. Yeah. I had some like incredible guest artists do pinups for that book, the Shore Tower, and super grateful. They're just like so many, like Matt Smith, who does work on Hellboy, and he's Barbarian Lord on Instagram. And Carl Kerschel, who's a legend.
That was another one of my other favorites. Yeah, the Carl piece.
Yeah, Crom, who has done Raiders and the Bird King. Just like incredible, so many incredible artists. I was super grateful for that.
Well, the one thing after reading this book, the first thing I thought is I've got to get a commission of Duncross now. So I've got to request
I know.
that.
I kick myself for not getting one on. I should have gotten one on the Kickstarter. And now I'm like, man, I should have done that. I just didn't even think about it. So.
Book three.
Yeah, the next one.
Yeah,
that's right. And this is some of the art. And you had mentioned the first book is you can change up styles, you can change up the black and white color length of the book. This is your baby, so you can kind of nurture it however you want to. But the first book is completely in black and white. But some of the scenes and just this book, without going into, I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it, but it does deal with demons, and I think the black and white works really well. As for the monster in the second book, color works well for it. I mean, I think you picked your monsters and creatures very, carefully whenever you chose the color spectrum. It was really well done.
Well, you know what? You want to know something? I'll show you guys something. So the book's published in France, and France wanted me to
Yes.
color. So I actually have the first story in color.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you can kind of see a little preview here. I don't know. Is it picking up there?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those colors are gorgeous. Yeah.
Thank you. So, although I love the black and white, there's probably a time
Yeah.
when, I'm probably going to, the second printing, I'm probably going to do it in color since I have the color now. As much as I love the black and white, just the color is kind of fun as well. So, yeah.
I take it back, Derek. I like the color.
Yeah, the color,
Well,
I mean, it's,
I'm joking.
But I was gonna say, I assume was that a choice? Just obviously with the cost, everything. It's a smaller book, like you said, shorter.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a at the time it was a time thing. And I had done I was just kind of experimenting and just seeing, I like manga books as well, and so I played around with like some, digital screen tones at the time. Kind of settled on like, more of the black and white palette with some grayscales, and just kind of like really liked the look, and I'm like, you know what, this works for a horror story.
No, it's the universal horror, the black and white. Yeah, that's
the classic look. Yeah.
correct.
No, that's awesome, man. And yeah, those French editions, funny enough, and I can show them off, and you have them, I think at least Wickerson, and still in your store. The French, I love the hardcover editions. I'm such a sucker for hardcovers. So, I got like your Bot 9 and Witch of Wickerson, and yeah, I mean, I definitely that looks fantastic. So
yeah. Well, it's funny enough too, because like in France, like they call it Duncross because I guess the title of Crimson Fall didn't translate. So, which I kind of actually like. It's not bad. Like it works, and it fits with the series. So, but yeah, these oversized like French editions, like they really go all out, and they're quite beautiful.
That's super cool. Let you go to the next one, Dustin. Or
okay, yeah, I thought I was waiting on you, but
oh,
yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, so the next book 2 is the Shore Tower, Crimson Fall, the Shore Tower.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave a real quick description pulled straight from Derek's site there, but I wanted to get to some of the art on this book and these 2 pages here. I didn't want to spoil anything from the book, but I thought these were just exceptional art. I mean, the creature there. It's very creepy, and the coin in the mouth. I don't know, something about that just freaked me out. So I read it with the lights on during the daytime. So we're
nice.
We're all safe.
But no, I mean it's this series is quickly becoming such a favorite, and I love, like, it seems like you're interested, you're passionate about like these characters and these stories, with how, with the second one you're already working on the third one. I was just kind of curious, like, where do you see this, going, or is this something, you're just kind of writing for right now because you're into it, and then, we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, like I mean, I plan on continuing it as long as people want to read it, and that's sort of my mindset at the moment. It is just a fun sandbox that I kind of created to play in there. And that's kind of why I did it. Like, I had done my all ages books kind of before that, and I wanted something that was a little more adult. And so I just kind of grabbed the genres that I really was into, and I was like, you know what, I'll just write something that's kind of in this vein. And yeah, it's just been kind of fun to like play in that world. I have a ton of story ideas. I probably have like 15 in my Google Docs file. So like, there's a lot of ideas out there. They're all just like nuggets, but eventually maybe they'll get polished into something. And so we'll see. Like, I think it's interesting because I'm self-publishing these, and I've thought about publishers for the series. I did have. I'll tell you guys a nice little sad story. So,
No.
I was working out a deal with Dark Horse, and
wow.
they were very much on board, and we were going back and forth on the contract for about 5 months. They're just kind of slow to get back and forth, but then they pulled the plug at the last minute just before I signed the contract, because they just been going through it a lot. The whole diamond thing really hit them hard. I know they had a lot of layoffs. My editor, who was assigned to the series, before it was signed, had got laid off during that first round of layoffs they did back in, I think it was November. And, so another editor got brought on and things were moving along, but yeah, unfortunately it got canceled before kind of we got really started. But, maybe it was a blessing. Like, at the end of the day, it's like, if they're not in a good spot, I don't know if I want them, controlling the IP.
Right.
That's always kind of been a bit of a sticking point. I like having control over the book and having control over the series. So no matter what I do, I think that's the most important thing for me. I rather have full control over the entire thing than sell a few more books into comic shops, if that makes sense.
No, and it's something, I, as a fan and a collector of your work, appreciate too, because while I love going to the comic store and buying the comic there and supporting the companies and stuff. I love about Kickstarter is being able to know that it's going directly to you and the stuff that you're working on in the book, but also, future pursuits. Plus, just all the extra stuff, the milestones and stretch goals and all that stuff is just super fun to be able to, see it just push to those levels, and you like all the extra stuff like bookmarks or your printout cards and like sketches or things like that is always super fun to get. Honestly, I think you were probably the first Kickstarter I think I backed that like
no way
finally got me to like plunge in and be like, okay, like I've heard about this, but I don't know it. But then it was like, oh, I love this. It was for that your extra large art book one. It was your first Kickstarter, actually.
Oh, right on. Okay, yeah.
And I was like, and I think it was either that or Instagram. I found your work, and I was just like, this is awesome. I was like, I definitely want to get this. And then just being able to, to continue to support you has been super fun. So,
well, I appreciate that.
All right, Zach. Fine, you guys talked me into it. Just order the art book and buy mine for my girls.
Very nice.
Order Crimson Fall while you're at it. Come on, Zach.
Add both those.
You guys are going to get some commissions from this. Don't worry.
No. Having you on's commission enough. Or getting dibs to the art. We're good on that. So, now, one thing I will say, the Shore Tower, this is the book that we'll be giving away at the end of the show for anybody. Derek, did you want to draw in the book tonight, or did you find a copy, or do you just want to do it off the air? Since
you know what, since you can't see my face, maybe I'll draw in a book.
Okay, cool.
Here, I'll blow myself up real quick.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me like 1 minute. I'm gonna go grab a book. 1 second.
Oh, no rush.
No,
Take
totally understandable.
Go back.
Yeah, for those who haven't seen Derek's sketches in his books, his stuff is super awesome. I was lucky enough to back the Witch of Wickerson Kickstarter, where he did this really awesome sketch on the inside of the cover. And then I did the same thing when I bought the French version through his website, and I got another sketch through there as well. And again, it's just super cool to get these on the inside of the book. I can't see. I'm like, my mom's gonna be telling me to hold it up.
Right on.
Hire Tyler. Hire.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she did that once already. But these are absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Forever is getting this is definitely getting a special piece. So
okay, can you see? Okay, is this showing? Let me know if this shows up.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries.
Let me see where you real quick.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna see. We can.
And I think maybe we'll like flip back and forth between them.
Yeah. Let's see here. Find it. So, you think at my drawing table I'd have all my stuff ready, but
no, don't. Hey, we wing it most of the time, so don't worry about it, Eric. You're good. We're gonna put up. Somebody Seth had asked what your website was for your shops. We put that banner up at the bottom of the screen, so everybody can see.
And here, I meant to also copy these. I'll post it in the comments as well, just to make it easier for people to copy paste.
Yeah, and if you don't win the book tonight, one lucky viewer will be able to win this copy that Derek is sketching on now. But if you don't, make sure and check it out. You can purchase the book, and you can purchase it with a quick sketch in it as well. So uh, make sure and support Derek any way you can with all the books he has on his site to keep creating the great art that he has been.
Thanks, guys.
No, for sure. Now, Dustin, I was going to say, I don't know if you wanted to, some of those questions, I don't know if we've hit some of the viewer questions yet from Keith. And
Yeah, we've got 3. We can go through those now while Derek's drawing, and that's a great idea. So we can start with Keith's, and we'll read it to Derek. You want to read it to Derek so you can,
yeah,
in case I don't freeze up.
no, yeah, for sure. So Keith asked, was there anything like a joke or a gore scene or a general idea for a story that you guys wanted to do, but the higher up said no to? I assume that's in reference to I Hate Fairyland, but might just be kind of a general.
Well, the higher ups are Skottie.
Scotty. Yeah.
Exactly,
When
yeah.
I read this question from Keith, I thought,
I think Skottie. Everything goes with Skottie. So.
yeah. Well, there's one panel that you probably saw whenever I sent you the page that we got to talk about later. So if that one got through the censors, then I'd say pretty much anything will get through the censors.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, did you see Seth's comment? Is that what you're looking at, or?
No, I remember you him when I read through the briefing. He had
Oh,
the red little statement in there.
yeah. Yeah. No. Seth just bought the OA of Helicon's first appearance. Sorry, Dustin. Now, unless Derek's uploaded them within the last 30 minutes, I think we're good on that. We'll discuss that in a little bit too, as well. But next question from Keith. Is there one piece that you've done that you can point to and say, this is what got me my start? That was my foot in the door of the industry. And you told a little bit of your origin story, but just kind of build on that if you don't mind.
Style, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I mean, if I can, I don't think I could point to like say one piece. Like I'd say like the body of work for like the chibi stuff I was doing definitely helped at least get me regular freelance work. It didn't get me so much comic work. Actually, funny enough, so all that stuff was like licensed through Marvel. So it was I did like their style guide for what was called Superhero Adventures. And it was their like kind of all ages branding. It would go on all the underwear and bedspreads and backpacks and all that stuff. So it was pretty cool because my kids were I have 2 boys and they were around that age, like 2 and 5 when I started, like that stuff started coming out. So I'd go to the toy stores and we'd see like, I'm like, oh, there's Dad's art on the box of this like Lego set or, different
cool.
things.
That's awesome,
Yeah. So that was just kind of fun to be able to experience that with them and order stuff from Target, like pajamas and things.
Yeah.
And
Unlike
t-shirts.
Scottie's kids who are like, the stuff you work on is lame until it's like Fortnite or something.
Oh no, 100%. Like my kids they're like that now. They don't think they're like all dads draw. Like what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Although I will do this one little quick flex. So my 13-year-old has been playing a lot of Brawl Stars, and I do artwork for Brawl Stars. So
Nice.
he asked me, he's like, "Do you think you can get me any stuff, like any free stuff?" And I was like, "I'll ask. I'll ask."
Yeah.
And so I did, and they gave him like a whole bunch of free like coins and skins and all this stuff. And he was
Oh,
like, "Oh my
nice.
god!" He was so excited.
That's
So I got to be
cool.
I got to be the cool dad for like a minute.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
No, that's really awesome.
Yeah, so so I wouldn't say like there's a one piece or anything like that. I think that for all artists, it's kind of becomes like a body of work over time, a certain consistency of professional, quality you're able to deliver, and when you start to show that, that's kind of like where, the real art sort of jobs start to come in is when you kind of catch the eye of a lot of different art directors. And I think that's just through a consistent body of work over a period of time.
Yeah.
Cool.
And kind of in a similar vein to Keith's question, I was kind of curious. Skottie had recently talked about advice he'd gotten from Steve Bird at Heroes about like his line weights not being varied enough and that kind of stuff, and that being a big turning point for him. Did you have anything like that with an artist you admired or looked up to, where you got that bit of advice that you felt really helped kind of push you in the right direction?
I don't know. Like not really. I mean, I kind of got a lot of that, like say line art variation hammered into me in animation school. They were always big on that.
Mm,
Um, a lot of like my learning and stuff just kind of came from watching and observing like my peers. You just sort of try to suck in as much information as you can, make mental notes. Like watching Skottie's rise over the
yeah,
years was always like, oh, I gotta, pay attention to what he's doing because it's working. And,
Yeah.
so it's like I think just having an open mind, I was able to sort of recognize where I was weakest. Whether it be in
mm,
a marketing thing, maybe stylistically things I'm weak in, and trying to focus on improving that. One sort of, I guess, little line, it wasn't directly to me, but something Jake Parker had said was like a moniker of like finished not perfect, which
mm,
I think a lot of us, I've heard Skottie even mention that a few
yeah.
times.
Hmm.
And I think that's just like a statement, like he said, that was quite profound to like, most artists, or creators out there. It's like, oh yeah, like that's a really good mantra to sort of have, especially when you're trying to push through a project and just kind of get it to the finish line. And ultimately, nothing's ever going to be perfect. And I think when you start to realize that,
Yeah.
that's when you sort of start to make those next big strides and get things done.
No, I mean it's a great point, and it's such an easy thing to get sucked into, especially as a young aspiring artist who, and nowadays, especially with social media and everything, seeing
Hmm.
all these amazing finished pieces and going, oh, I have to do that too, and it's like, no, you're not seeing all the crap and slog that they went through to then
Oh
post
yeah.
these pieces. So,
Yeah, like I
um,
mean, even like there's some artists out there that like they'll bang out like a perfect piece, of a sketch like right away, all the time, like they're at that level. And I've never been like that. Like I'll sketch like a bunch of garbage like on a page before it became ever becomes a page. Like if you saw some of those Fairyland pages, like on my first thumbnail pass, like it's like you would not know what I'm doing. It's like little stick figures, pretty much, like it's all about just building blocks. And I think that's a lot of things you see in a lot of amateur artists is they're missing the building blocks. And
mm,
that's just something they have to like sort of develop over time, is understand that like art is a process, and we're not all like, there's a few artists out there that maybe can just like one line and just away they go and they can just throw it down. Most like 99% artists don't draw like that, and it's a process.
yeah,
Well,
no,
word
for
of
sure, yeah,
advice,
yeah,
Tyler.
because you had
Oh,
oh, sorry,
I
I
was
was just gonna
just
say, yeah, because that
go
kind of
on.
touches on again back to a previous podcast you had done, talking about that, in college, how you kind of suffered, having a larger ego, and then
Hmm.
and getting over that, and realizing, like you said, that the base building blocks are the things that you were missing, and the things that you were just kind of looking past to look at the final piece, or the style, or whatever it is, that artists get trapped up in. Um, and how that kind of after getting out of college and then struggling is when it dawned on you, and finally hit you, that it was like, oh, I need to get past this and hit those basics. And it's always a sketch. Did somebody say large egos?
Right
Yes.
on time.
Skip
Well
in the
played.
house.
Well played, Skiff. Well played.
um yeah, I mean, I think that's a great lesson, to hear from you, and from other artists and stuff, again, to not get caught up in all the fine details and stuff. And it's the bigger picture, those base building blocks, that really matter. So,
Yeah, it's a long career of like just struggles, like and I think that's when artists start to realize that, especially the young artists, when they realize like there's just it's all just part of a process of learning over time, and nothing's quick. You'll make like little leaps here and there, but those big massive leaps take time.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Now, my one comment I was going to make, whenever you're talking about doing them, I'm sure you do a lot of the sketching, the early drafts digitally, but yeah, if you do any on rough paper, make sure and hang on to those, dude. There's a huge market for seeing the process shots. Tyler and I and Seth were at Heroes this past June, and I mean, just seeing some of Skottie's early concept drawings that were really just really rough drafts. I mean, it's to me, it's impressive to see where you take the concept to the final piece. So hopefully you've hung on to a lot of those early drafts that you may have wanted to chunk, because
Yeah,
it'd be
well, I mean, sadly, most of my sketching process happens digitally, so I don't have a lot of you know, that's but I shared with you that Inoki
Yeah, so
concept
we got
art.
it coming up here in a second. That is
Yeah, so
incredible. Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
was like a rare occasion where I found myself kind of in front of the television set with a Sharpie and this big pad of paper, and you know, I knew the story. Skottie had dropped like the first few pages and of the script, so I was like, okay, I want to start kind of wrap my head around this character and what it's going to look like. So I have some early concept art for that, even just some designs that didn't really, you know, fit. But once I kind of had it, I was like, oh, okay, I
Yeah,
knew
there's
it.
Yeah,
there's
I
the
wanted to bring that
Inoki
up on
there.
screen. Yeah, so
Yeah.
if you're a member of Derek's Substack, which I wanted to make sure and bring that up as well. Oh, no, we
Well,
did the pager. Yeah, the Substack. Whenever he had sent the newsletter out, and he had showed the image on the right of the color Inoki, but on the left, he had shared that with us to share for you all on this show, and you can see. Or I'm sorry, on the right is what he shared with us to share with the show. On the left is what was in the newsletter, the rough Sharpie concept for Inoki.
yeah, and I'd thrown up the link to his Patreon as well.
Yeah, thank you for
You
that.
can pay monthly for that. I've been subscribed to that for a few years, and it's really awesome because you get a lot of the behind the scenes background process stuff. There's even some PSD files on there for anybody who has Photoshop or anything like that that can open it up. Right now, he's been sharing some I Hate Fairyland stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, if that's stuff you love, I cannot recommend subscribing to that enough and getting all that background stuff because it yeah, I mean, again, that's part of my favorite process. Whenever I watch a movie or a show or read something, my immediate thing is like, okay, art book, art post. I want to
Yeah,
see all of
Yep,
that
yep.
stuff. So
no, I'm the same way, and that's why like I started the Patreon is because I wanted
mm,
a kind of space to share some of that stuff just with the other art nerds out there,
yeah,
like myself. Because yeah, like if I really like a movie, I love to like go in and like watch the behind the scenes stuff of like the making of, and you know, same thing with like art books. You know, I'm a big collector of like Disney art books and
yeah,
like Miyazaki art books, and
oh yeah.
you know, so yeah, I love seeing the process because I understand like you know so much of what goes into the final product, you know, is those building blocks along the way. So yeah, I'm just a huge fan of that.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean the thing that makes it so fun is that everybody's process is different.
Yeah,
There, and that's what's so cool to me is and that's what makes art so special and unique is everybody's experiences and own personal they just get that's what informs their art and being able to see that in the process is always super fun to me. So
I couldn't agree more.
yeah. Ryan brought up a good comment. The free comic book day issue of I Hate Fairyland had a lot of things to look forward to in the upcoming arcs. Which setting locale are you more? Oh, it's actually a question. I didn't read the whole thing.
Oh,
Which setting or locale are you most excited to draw? So you had a lot of full, double page spreads in there of future adventures for Gert. Which one of those excited you the most about diving into?
well, to be honest, it was the helicorn
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we got to
that's
do
that's the
fair.
right answer. Great answer.
That's very
so
fair.
that was kind of it. Yeah, that was a fun one. Like, because Skottie and I, when I first kind of jumped on the project, we had sort of just discussing like, you know, when I told him like, you know, there was only a few comics in the world I would have said yes to, because I love doing my own thing so much, and it was I Hate Fairyland and Hellboy. Those are the only two projects I would have
Ah,
like
great,
jumped on.
great.
And
That's
so he
awesome.
was like, okay, he's like, we could definitely do something Hellboy ish. And so
Yeah.
we'd come up with this Helicorn character. And yeah, and it's just Scotty wrote this like insane story.
Oh, it's so good,
And
so good.
yeah, and it was just, yeah, it was absolute blast. And like, it's cool because like, the team just lets me kind of do what I want. Like in a sense, like I was just like, I really want to draw these at least the first couple pages like Magnola. I really want to ape
Yeah, just
Magnola
go
to
after
really
it.
sell this parody.
You
And
succeeded. Yeah, it was so
yeah,
good.
so it was like, you know, trying to throw those tropes in there like as much as possible because I'm just a huge fan. I mean, it's a love letter, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that thing, like, you know, you do like the bootleg comic because you're probably not going to ever get to do the actual comic.
Mm.
kind of like Jim Food did with his
Oh,
vigilante.
Defective Comics. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
Defective Comics is kind of. I mean, this is
Okay.
sort of like our little Defective Comics thing, right?
As I was reading it, and to be honest, I usually read an issue through once and get excited about it. But then this is I think the first issue in a long time I've actually read it multiple times in the same day that it released,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
it was so good. Yeah, the previews did not prepare for what the story was going to be about and
Yeah.
how it was going to unfold. But yeah, those first few pages, yeah, Mignola had that direct feel, and I thought, man, Derek, I'm scared that Mignola's going to try to steal him for Hellboy now because this looks so good.
Yeah,
You
I
know-
mean, there's so many good nuggets. I mean, just not even just the art style, but just certain things that happen that I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like call outs to, just certain characters or stories or things. So
Yeah, and I know some of it's Skottie script, I mean it's 50-50. It's 50-50 Skottie script, but the art that you put with his script to make it play out the way it did was just very impressive, Derek. I mean,
Thank you.
this is it's like, do I contact Derek about buying this issue's art whole? And then I looked at my bank account and was like, well, I can't do that. But it had that there were so many good pages that anybody that does, we'll talk about that later, but anybody that is fortunate enough to pick up some art from this book will be very lucky. And I feel like right now I'm driving the price up, and which scares me. I should probably shut up. So,
Yeah,
no,
just say it
keep going,
sucks.
keep going.
It's
yeah,
horrible.
it's mid. It's
Don't
mid.
buy it,
So,
Seth especially.
A bunch of coffee stains on it. You don't want it.
well, it's
That's
crazy.
been rolled over by a chair.
Yeah.
Speaking of Seth, as we're having this interview here with Derek, he's messaging me going, "Dibs on this page, dibs on this page." He's like, "Dude," but I had to warn him. Oh gosh, we could watch you draw the whole night, and I'm just really scared about your time, Derek.
Yeah,
If
I was
is
gonna
there a
mention,
time
yeah.
that you got it?
No.
We've got several slides to go through, and we don't want to take up your
No,
time.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I can be here as long as you want. So anyway, that's the drawing finished. I can just do a quick little pencil render on here,
Oh,
just
that's
to make
good,
it
man.
make it a little extra special. So
That
yeah,
is
go.
awesome. I
can go
love that. And do you find because it's always interesting to me, like I know Ryan Otley has like a few characters he chooses from for remarks, just because again he knows those characters so well. And
Yeah,
I'm kind of curious if that's what's happened with Duncross. You're like, oh, I know Duncross, like the
100,
back of my
no,
hand.
100%. No, when I was I was recently in Montreal Comics Art Festival
Yeah.
back in May, and I did probably, I think 150 sketches
Oh,
in books that
wow.
weekend, like over the 3 days.
Wow.
And a lot of it was just like Duncross.
Wow.
And because it's like, yeah, like I can draw him from multiple angles, and stuff really quickly without having to think too hard about it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of good because when I was even doing the short tower, like I was still referencing previous like designs and stuff a lot
Hmm.
more, where now it's like I have a certain familiarity because of that. And I think that's kind of a benefit to like sketching a character over and over again. It almost becomes like a bit of a signature,
Yeah.
the way you kind of go about it. So yeah, like, so I think it's been good for me in the series for me to sort of like continuously draw, the main character this much. I probably need to give McKellen some of this love, at
Yeah,
some
I was
point.
gonna
Yes.
ask you, have you ever been asked how to sketch him or if it
Yeah,
ever
I
comes
did.
up?
Well, it was funny in Montreal. Only one person asked for McKellen in this,
Oh,
but I
really?
usually
Bless him.
just say, "Do you want to sketch?" And I just start doing Duncross, and they
You
don't.
just go with Duncross.
Yeah, they
He's
just
like,
don't
no,
say
no, no,
anything.
I want the other guy.
Yeah, they're not going to say no, 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 no.
Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't realize, McKellen, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, on this, but
Yep.
he's based upon Friar Tuck. Is that am I
Yeah, there's a little
recalling
bit of
that
Friar
correctly?
Truck. Yeah, a little bit, like, especially in his design, I would
Yeah,
say.
just the look. I mean, his personality is a unique character, but just the fullness of the body, the huskiness of the body, and everything has that.
Well,
Yeah.
well, now I feel bad about what I'm going to say because it says nothing to do with size. But I was going to say, thinking about it in my head, Dustin, he actually reminds me of you quite a bit, just
Yeah,
personality
I was
wise.
taking a drink, dadgone it. You almost killed me there. So, yeah,
No,
yeah,
personality. He's
yeah, I don't
such a lovable
swear.
character.
Yeah, so
But he's still willing to back up, Duncross and kind of get his hands dirty and be in there and help him. So yeah, Britton, what a dig. No, it's not a dig. It's a compliment.
thanks, Tyler. I'm used to it. No, I did like both characters and the dynamic, the relationship they have. It's like a buddy cop set in the mid-century. It is really
Yeah.
good. I can't sell
Yeah,
it enough.
I think it's always fun when you have. I mean, to be honest, like it's kind of got a little bit of like Gert and Larry thing going on.
Yeah,
In a
Yeah.
sense, like that relationship where they're two opposites, personality wise, but then they're kind of like thrown
Totally.
together. And
I mean, it's just such a fun dynamic. Yeah.
yeah, so I always enjoy stories. I think that's why like I was even just drawn to Fairyland to begin with.
Mm.
Was just because of that. Like it was like that. I always loved that. I like Sam and Twitch, like with Spawn. Like I used to
yeah.
read Spawn when I was a kid. I loved Sam and Twitch. Just having that like character dynamics and stuff. So anyway, I'm done my sketch. So some lucky viewer will get a copy of this.
Yeah, Derek, don't be alarmed whenever you see my name and address on that as the winner. You were suckered, my friend.
Hey, you know what?
No,
Well,
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
that's right.
exactly. We don't
I
make
was-
the rules. Just kidding,
I
we
was-
do.
I was going to request you draw a helicorn in there, but I thought that would be a dead giveaway. Yes,
Two Dustin in this speech.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Someone we'll make sure we've had a few more people hop on. So at the end of the episode, the end of the show, we will be giving away that book. Just make sure you message me on my name's Dustin Whitney on the Skottie Young Appreciation Group, or message us through the YouTube here. Just comment with your information, and we will get the book. Make sure the book ships straight from Derek to your house. So yeah, Weston Ditney.
Yeah.
Well played, Seth. Well played.
And I'll ship pretty much anywhere in the world. So go for it.
Awesome.
Even if
And yeah, I just wanted to catch Pedro's. Sorry, we kind of held it up there, but we hadn't been able to read it. They just wanted to say thank you for every issue of I Hate Fairyland because you do a very fun work with Gert and the mob. Congratulations from Mexico City.
Oh, that's so good.
Well said. And there was one other, Jerry, he reiterates what I've been preaching the whole night. Helicorn from the latest issue was a great new character. And at the end of the book, that's one thing I messaged Skottie and I said, please have more Helicorn adventures. And I know you can't give away what it is, but if we're going to see him again. And
Well, I'll just say this. I said the same thing to Skottie.
Okay. We'll start a petition.
I'll just say this. I don't think we're done with Helicorn.
Yes.
I did, but who knows when Helicorn will appear again. But you know what? I look at it this way: is like that's the beauty of Fairyland, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
And
returns.
it's Scottie's world. I mean, it's he can do what he wants, and that's kind of the beauty of having your own world, right?
Yeah, like you said, that sandbox. I mean, it's clearly just as much fun as it was 10 years ago when you started it. To just be able to come up with these stories and stuff, and especially to collaborate with other artists like yourself. I can only imagine, like you said, that bounce back off of people to be able to go, hey, what if we did this? And that tumble effect of what comes after. So.
Yeah, no, like it's so cool. Like, and I have that sort of like working relationship with Skottie where I can just say, like, I'll just send him a text and be like, hey, what do you think of this for this scene or whatever? Or maybe we add this little bit of dialogue in here because it'll fit like with this idea I have. And he's like, yeah, sure, that works. And so it's such a collaborative effort in that way. It's like it's about as like free as you can be to work. It's almost like I'm working on my own project. Like it's that same sort of vibe. I don't have a tension about it. I was kind of when you first jump on a book where somebody else is writing it, it was kind of the first time I'd really done that to this level. And part of me had a little bit of reservation, but when I got that first script, I was like, when I got that first script for issue 41, I was like, okay, I'm in good hands. This is like
all out the window. We're totally good.
it's like weird. It's so weird. Like I'm just like, I feel like I've been working on this book for a long time. Like it's got that, I just dove right in and it just kind of fits.
Well, I pulled this slide today.
Yeah.
Whenever I emailed you and asked you who Duncross was based on, this is one of the when I went 153 weeks back on your Instagram account, and I saw this picture, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember seeing this 153 weeks ago." And I'm not. I remember people shared this and saw this, and I thought, "Oh, that's such a cool, design of Gert." And you've kept it similar. It's a little slightly different, the one that we're going with in the issue. But your comment there was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to hop in." Did you have any? fathom at the time that you would be the feature artist on I Hate
Not
Fairyland?
not at all. No, it was
Okay,
like,
okay. There's no
yeah,
thoughts about
no,
that one.
it was I was just happy to like kind of be associated with the book and get a chance to actually like write, to actually get to write a story in it. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, like that was such a dream come true. I couldn't say no when that
Oh yeah,
opportunity came. And
Oh, so glad you didn't. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
and that sort of like idea I had for Judge Gertie, like just it was such a dumb idea, but it just worked. And like, I pitched it and they were like, yeah, that's awesome, to go with it. And yeah, it was great.
Yeah, well, and look what it led to. It's incredible where you've come.
Yeah.
Now, this before we get into the current issues, I had one
Yeah.
question for you.
Mhm.
Skottie had kind of said when he had you on that there was going to be a guest artist, or not a guest artist, but a kind of a
Secondary.
secondary artist. Thank you, Tyler.
Yes.
That comes in and substitutes for 3 weeks or at a time, or 3 issues at a time. Do you have in your mind, is there a length and time of how long you're planning on staying with I Hate Fairyland, or is it just indefinitely until you go your
Again,
separate
living in
ways?
that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why, because we've seen your first 2 issues and we've seen the covers and some of the previews for your next 2, and now we're like, oh man, we're attached to Derek. He's got to stay around a little bit longer. So,
Well,
so
okay, I'll give you guys the inside scoop. So, the initially I had agreed to do. I said I would commit to 9 issues, and because I was like, again, like that little bit of trepidation of like, okay, I'm diving into this thing, and I think it was like after, I don't know, first issue, Skottie was just like, I don't think I'm going to be able to let you go. And I'm like, kind of like a little bit of a romantic moment. I'm like, I don't think I could let it go.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
That I can't quit you moment.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
keep
it was
Yeah.
like,
going, so,
You're both in
yeah,
front
it's
of the
totally that
Titanic,
little.
breeze in your face.
Yeah, so I mean, as it stands, like we just sort of said, like let's just keep it rolling. So I've sort of put that 9 issue thing out. That's not on the table anymore. I'll just keep going. It's like it's one of those things too where, as long as people are willing to buy the books and keep the brand strong, and we can do creative things, and I think that's kind of the fun of this series, right? It allows us to
Yeah.
do things like this Helicorn issue, right out of the gate. Like Skottie's not afraid to like, hey, let's just like introduce a brand new character. Like, there's 2 new characters in the first,
that's
for the
wild.
first like 3 quarters of this book, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's just, we can have fun like that. And it's, I had said before on Skottie's podcast, the plus and negative of doing these sort of one shots right now is like, one, like I don't get bored at all. Like, it constantly keeps me on my toes. The one downside is I don't get to sort of like ride the coattails of what I've just done, and then sort of keep that going.
Yeah.
It's like, it's new character designs, it's a little bit of new world building, like for each issue. But the trade-off is that you get to keep it fresh, and I think Skottie's been rejuvenated with that sort of approach to doing these more one-shot stories, and so we're just gonna keep that going for a little while. And yeah, it's been a fun ride so far.
But the crazy thing about
That's
issue
awesome.
42,
Yeah.
at the beginning of issue 42, there's a recap of issue 41 of all the things that took place in issue 41, and then issue 42 has nothing to do with anything that took place in 41. So I was sitting there trying to connect the dots at first, like, okay, what? I went back and reread the end of issue 41 just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But no, I'm loving this so far. The pacing is great as well. And looking at the next issue, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then the issue 44, I mean, it looks like that trend's going to continue at least for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah. As far as I know, like, I mean, who knows? Like, it's one of those things too, where I think it's like, it keeps me on my toes a little bit. I don't know what's coming, for like the next issue, like I'm doing after 44, and, but I'm glad in a sense, because I like to stay hyper focused on what I'm doing at the time. And I don't want to be distracted. I'm like a dog a little bit. Like, it's like, oh, you see a squirrel over there?
Yeah, squirrel. Yeah.
Shiny boy. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so like I almost like my brain not to be able to think about something else, and even like one of the challenges being like usually you're doing cover art in advance, so I have to sometimes like dive in and design a character early, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to take focus away from what I'm doing, but yeah, but it's good.
Well, what's wild is, I mean, you're not even creating new characters in each comic. You're creating new worlds. Like you
Yeah.
can't just use what you used in the previous issue and be like, all right, we're in this world.
World
You're
styles,
yeah,
characters.
your world
Yeah,
building
environments
every
are all
issue.
different.
So
Yeah.
it's like there's no getting comfy in this at all.
We're in
No.
the Gert verse now, so
That's right. Okay, before we get into these, this is what bothered me since issue one.
Dustin's been
yeah, we're going to take
fighting a
the
bit for this one.
yeah. So how much was this of this was you, and how much was Skottie? Especially that panel.
Yeah, so no, I almost want to grab you the script.
Well, Derek, let me say, whenever I had a March Madness for the Skottie Young Appreciation Group.
Yeah.
And I had to get Scottie's picks and Megan's picks and John's picks. And Megan was actually, it said something along the lines, well, Scottie's really writing this book. He may not be able to. And Skottie replied, well, I'm working, but I can also pick my book. And he gave me just a hairline, just like 2 lines from the script. And it talked about Gareth. And it talked about, like, on the next page, he has a comment to Gareth. So I was waiting like 3 months to see who Gareth was. And then it's midnight. I download this book on my Kindle. I'm reading it and I get to this page and I was like, holy cow, that was I am awake now. That was good. So yeah, if you continue, what can you give us the gist? I mean, you may not be able to share the script, but kind of the gist.
Let me see. I'll see if I can. I'll dig up the script real quick. 1 second.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's worth the wait.
Sort of like I started off I printed out these scripts at the beginning. Let's see here. Okay, so I want to see exactly what he wrote.
Okay.
It's been a few months now, so I don't always remember. Okay.
That's fair.
Okay, so Skottie in the script. Okay, so I originally, like, when I read this scene, I got a sense that there was a little bit of perversion going on here.
Just a little.
So that was kind of there was a little sexual vibe here.
Yeah.
So it's okay. So page 13, I believe that's page 13. I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds about right. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Gert says, "I know I'm not that drunk, but I didn't think I was that drunk." And then Gareth says, "Hello, Crawler. I am Gareth the Garplin," which is just a funny name. At the gate. To proceed to the final dungeon, you must play the correct, and then it jumps to like she's just playing him. So it says close on Garplin, eyes wide, like he's being violated, and then in panel 4, like he's being violated. So like I'm like, okay, well Skottie's obviously got something in mind here, and I'm like, how do you violate like a harp? And
you found a way.
So then in the 4th panel it says Gert is playing away at his strings like a pro harpist. So I'm like, okay, I need to incorporate the pro harpist, sort of like she's really into it. And and then and it's got to look a little perverted. So I changed a little bit, like, and this is where like I can have that freedom. Is like in that panel 3, I decided not to have the reveal happen with his eyes wide. He's kind of more curious, like, "Hey, what you doing back there?" sort of vibe. And then he's like getting his sort of quote unquote O face, and to quote Office Space, so that was like kind of, I'm like, it just, that's the thing, like Skottie's scripts like bring out of me. It's like I can visualize this wacky kind of crazy stuff happening.
Well, the final panel, I was like, all right, well that's like gives me a little bit of relief. I was like, all right, that's consensual. He's into it now. So
like that's the thing. I didn't want to make it. Well, I think that was, to be honest, like, I mean, that crossed my mind. I'm like, okay, like, how do we want to take this? It needs to feel like, he's actually like, okay with what's happening.
That's right.
Because he's kind of a creep. I just thought he's kind of a creep too.
Yeah. Yeah, the teeth. Yeah, just every design about you have in the black panel there. Yeah, he's definitely into it. You
Right, right,
pulled that
right.
off. Yeah,
No, this one's
I
hilarious.
am so
So.
glad I clicked not for kids on this show tonight. So we are in good. But we'll get into that. We'll get into why everybody came. Issue 42 is out today, and we just want to congratulate Derek on not just this one, but 41 and the issues coming up that we've seen previews for. But yeah, the even the cover was just striking. I
But
mean,
yeah,
you
going
pulled
back
off.
to
Yeah,
the
that's
cover
even
art
better.
there. So.
Dang it, that makes me salivate. That is so good.
Well, it was my ultimate, like, how can I go full Magnola? So I had to do it with my cover. And I was so psyched that they decided to make the variant FU cover.
Yeah, the black and white.
Yeah, the black and white one. So I was like, oh,
Yes.
that is so cool. Because I never know, like, they just kind of see like the variant, like
Mm.
what either Jean is going to do with a variant cover. And yeah, it was just cool that we went with the straight black and white. So
True. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times it can be bloody from what we've seen. So yeah, going
yeah.
the black and white route was really fitting for this one.
Do you guys want me to start flipping through some of these pages?
Yeah, we would
Yeah,
absolutely love that. Yeah.
I actually forgot we were on a show for a second, and I was staring there at Paddywhack, the dogs at the bottom.
So, yeah,
So
here's
cool.
A virgin copy of the black and white. I hope they do. They do.
Yeah,
A
they do like a second printing. Yeah, or,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be really
yeah,
nice.
that would be fun. But yeah, so like this again was like my homage to like Magnola, like the little symbolism
Yeah,
of
yeah. Those little three panels there were so good.
I love that.
And
All right, have a good night, Keith. Thanks for stopping by, bud.
Yeah, thank you.
Keith's gonna miss out on all the original art here.
I know.
bet he
Yeah,
is.
the best part. Yeah.
Well, as long as he gets a Crimson Fall book, I'm okay with it.
So I don't know how far to go. I don't know if we want to spoil too much. So you guys maybe can.
Yeah, I think if we get to Mary, you probably get to Mary. That's
Okay.
Yeah, that's
That's
probably
good.
be
Yeah,
far.
good. Yeah, good point.
We'll say
No, it's worth the reveal at the end. I don't want to spoil that for anybody.
It's just so good.
This is like, yeah. I'm so glad I decided to do this book traditional. I think like my initial thought was time, and I need to, do what's best for time. But I don't know. There's something about using an actual like brush pen that I really dig, and I kind of wanted. I knew Skottie used the brush pen, for the original pages and stuff, and I'm like, I kind of want to keep the vibe going, and I know Brett had inked his traditionally as well, so I'm like, I can't cop out here. But I found that like actually I'm getting pretty quick with the brush pen on these pages, so I can usually ink about 3 a day, sometimes 4.
Wow.
That's a good pace.
So
Yeah.
so once I have like, as long as my pencils are tight enough, I can really just fly with it.
And now they can't see this, Derek, but the My Fair Lady, the bomb there.
Oh, right,
Oh
yeah.
yes. Oh my
that was
gosh.
that was a good gag. But yeah, the way you drew this too. I mean, it was. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I'm sure Skottie could have drew this himself as well, but I think that you added the flair to it that was perfect for this.
Oh, this page was such a great page. The color one, and seeing it black.
Oh
and white,
yeah,
so
like
cool.
Jean went all out. And actually, like, because that's one of the notes I gave him. Like at the beginning, I was like, "Can you color it like Dave Stewart colors Hellboy?" I'm like, "Is that too much of an ask?" And he nailed it. Like it was just. That sort of almost like really cool flats. Like you need, if you're going to pull off those flats, you got to have like the perfect palette, selected. And he's just such a master at it. So yeah, maybe we'll stop here with.
That's a good place to stop.
There, yeah.
So
Ryan, that is
Ryan, I have
awesome.
a question for you. How much of an art is it to actually draw out the panels? So yeah, whenever you're creating, because all these have different size panels, so. Is that how you get started with it? How do you just?
Yeah, like the placement and everything.
Yeah, so like because everything's done digital with the up to the pencil stage. Like so, the pencils are digital pencils, and so I'll lay out. Usually, what I'm going to do is it depends on how much dialogue is on a page. So if Skottie's got a heavy dialogue page, I know I need to leave room. So that will dictate sometimes what my panels, like how much visual information I can pack in there. And because it is that balance of like you want the reader to not be overwhelmed. If I had a lot of like background noise or whatever, a lot too much happening, and there's like a really heavily dialogue scene, so it's finding that balance. So I'll do that on like heavy dialogue pages. But usually it's like I'll go in because I use Clip Studio Paint, the EX
Yeah.
program. So the one allows you to do like multiple pages at a time, so you can pull up all the pages. You can see it in a big, like, it's displayed
Oh, okay.
nicely on the side of your. I have a 3 monitor, so I can see all the pages at once, and that really helps as well to kind of like make sure everything's flowing, to just
That's really cool.
visually be able to see it all. And yeah, so I'll start with like sometimes just borders. Like I'll just start with rough borders. So I'll get an idea from sometimes Skottie will say it's a wide shot or it's a close up or whatever. He'll give some direction here and there. And, but he's not so descriptive, like, okay, there's, he didn't have a squirrel in in the scene. I just get to add that in,
Yeah.
little things like that. He leaves you a ton of freedom to just kind of like flex and do what you want. But it's, yeah, I'll usually start with like panels first because I know, sort of the panels like Skottie's going to dictate, and try to get a flow going there. But then things might change a little bit, depending on how it's flowing. Again,
Mhm.
like the type of dialogue is going to go into a page. If I need to see a certain character reaction, if the panel is going to be big or small, or just what I need to get out of each little panel, because each panel is a scene like in the story, right? And each one has
Mhm.
its own significance. Nothing is wasted on a page, as far as I'm concerned. That's one thing like I try to maintain, like, is a sense of like no space is wasted, no panels wasted, nothing's a throwaway. So if it's there for a reason. And yeah, so that's kind of how I approach the pages. And then it's just a
That's
matter of like
awesome.
sketching. I'll do like super rough, like, I know there's an explosion here or whatever, and I'll just do a little rough thing and kind of get an idea for like angles and things. And, it's a lot of little shapes and scribbles before I really, and that sort of helps me, once I have sort of borders in there, I have some scribbles sort of on it, I can kind of start to visualize what it's all going to look like. And then it's just a matter of going in and like tightening up poses, try to keep things on model, perspective angles, and
Mhm.
getting all those stuff in there. So it's a building process through the whole thing. So that's
How
kind of how
does
I work it.
I'm curious, how does the relationship work with somebody like Nate Picos who does the lettering, especially with like something like that explosion that had the boom in it.
Yes.
Some of the furnaces at the beginning had some like lettering on it as well. I was just kind of curious, that back and forth, especially when you're putting some of that stuff in as well.
Yeah, so like pretty much like I guess the rule of thumb is like if I can put it in the original artwork, I can go ahead and go for it.
Oh,
And so that's sort of like kind of what I've been doing. And then Nate will just add to that. Um,
Mm,
and yeah, so like because like sometimes I think especially if it's incorporated right into the artwork and it's embedded right in there, I think it's probably best if I do it,
yeah.
just in and so everything kind of like flows better with the artwork. And plus, to be honest, it's kind of nice to be able to like if somebody buys the original page, to see like the big boom
oh
Yeah.
yeah.
like right in there, right? Like, so
No,
I
for
kind of
sure.
I think about that as well, like when I'm doing it. So if I could get like the words in there, same with like the we were talking about in that first couple pages, like in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
since it was just like incorporated into the artwork itself, I don't mind doing it. I don't have the greatest penmanship. I certainly wouldn't letter my own comics by hand or anything like that, but
I mean,
yeah.
you could have. I mean, it looks great, and I think that's a really great point, and kind of comparable to like the anime or like animation or movie industry. Like put it in post kind of a deal. I like that explanation of if I can put it in and ground it within the art itself, it just kind of leads to that believability
Yeah, and
more
I have
so in a
this
way.
kind of idea too. Like if I mess this up, I can just digitally fix it, or like I could
Mm,
erase it and then have Nate go in and be like, "Hey Nate, I did a horrible job. Can you
Great
redo
point.
this?"
yeah,
So there's
fair.
that sort of like idea as well, where I can feel like if I do mess it up on the page, then we can just fix it in post. So
No, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can I ask you one question, Derek? And hopefully
Yeah.
it'll make everyone mad. Can you stay on about 3 minutes after the show's over with and show us the rest of the pages? Show me and
Yeah.
Tyler.
No,
Okay.
for sure.
I want to make all of our audience really upset right now. So,
One in particular.
yep, that was my plan. All right, well,
Jerry had a question. He was wondering if artists still use Wacom Intuos tablets, or are there other ones for comic artists, or what your preference is for digitally drawing.
Yeah, so I have a Cintiq. It's a 27 QHD. It's from like 2017. It's still going strong. I like a big monitor. I tend to. I'm used to drawing with my shoulder, so like I draw from my shoulder, so you can see like I don't noodle with my wrist.
Yeah.
Like a lot. I'm mostly like I'm using my whole arm, so I like having bigger canvas to do that. Plus my eyesight sucks. So it does help to like be able to zoom in and like have a nice big monitor for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the Cintiq. I like drawing right on the screen. It's as close to pen and paper as I can get in the digital world. Yeah, so that's what I use.
No, that's really
Sweet.
cool. That's similar to Aaron Blaze, animator, from Disney, or people who aren't as familiar with him. Is the same way. He loves it big because he's the same way. Draws totally with the shoulder rather than like with the hand. Those tiny.
Yeah,
movements
and to be honest, I think
so.
that's like our animation training. They taught us that like pretty early on,
True.
like to kind of get that, like that's how you get your gestures going and keep everything flowing. And yeah,
that's awesome. And here's the color finals for those pages we just saw.
Yeah,
I'll remove
I'm gonna
the
get the
banner
boom
real
page.
quick.
Yeah. Oh, crud.
yeah, Jean's so good.
And
And
I think it was.
I was going to say, like, it's so nice not to have to color my work sometimes. Like, it's such a relief. Like, it's a weird, like, just passing it off. It almost feels like, I didn't finish my job. Like, because I'm so used to just lettering, and I do my own lettering, my own coloring, and everything else. So it's nice, and I have to print it all. Like, so, it's nice just hand off, like, at this stage and just go, okay, so the rest of the team gets to take care of it, right?
No, that's awesome. And I was gonna say, I think you're the first person I've seen who's mentioned him as JFB, and I'm like, that's perfect. That's exactly how I'm gonna mention him.
We
from
mispronounce
now
his
on,
name
so.
all the time.
I mean,
Every
everybody.
episode that we mention him. This brings me. I had one question for you. Was it I'm sure a conscious effort to draw Helicorn with fingers instead of hoofs for hands. I mean, that's so when he's walking upright. Was that your character design, or was that in Skottie's script? That
No.
it'd be hard to hold a gun with hoofs.
Yeah, that was I sort of had to make that call, and
Okay.
but yeah, it was just I'm like, we got the hoof sort of with the right hoof of Gloom,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so
So good.
and I got to incorporate. He has like his feet are hooves.
Yes. I saw it.
So I'm like, but I have to. Yeah, he has to be able to fire a gun.
Yeah, that's because as I was reading it, I was thinking, well, how else would you do it? Like, how would you?
Yeah,
get
no, that would be really weird if he had all
Have like
those.
some sort of weird hoof weapon instead.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I think the hoof of Gloom would probably have to like transform into an arm cannon, which I mean could be
Optimus
cool.
Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, very fitting, and I like to. I think it was in your latest or one of your latest blogs. You talked about how you hate drawing horses, and yet you're the one who came up with like hey, we're gonna make this horse character.
Yeah, it was just so like I'm like, why do I do this to myself?
When you
But
suggested
no.
Hellboy, who would have known it would end up being a unicorn that ends up being the placement for Hellboy? So that was. Oh, this is the mystery too. This was the mystery from the Skottie show that you did with Skottie and Megan. What in the world is it behind the bars there? We're trying to figure that out. There's no color, so it's a little bit of a mystery. We've seen pie, we've seen cheese, and and I know you can't reveal it. But
no, I can't reveal it.
So but the other thing I wanted to mention on your Instagram, you do really good job with your music behind the panels you pick. The panel there in the center, you had "Welcome to the Jungle" played as that panel came up. So, and there was another one, "Rage Against the Machine," I think was from the issue 42 panel, and I was like, man, Derek is great about picking it because you're looking at that, and I now whenever I'm looking through issue 43, when I come to this panel, that's what's going to pop in my head is "Welcome to the Jungle." So
nice.
Well done.
I'm going to say, and it lends itself too, because I mean, out of all, Skottie and Brett and yourself, I'd say that, reading these comics, I get the most sense that I want to see them animated. Like I want to see that Marvel,
Yes.
kind of animation where it's like just,
Mhm.
slightly moving pieces, some special effects, some music and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, hearing that music definitely adds to that experience. So.
Yeah, it would be amazing if that ever like happened, even just like, a couple animated shorts or something would be cool. Yeah, I would love to see Gert in action.
Yeah, well,
Oh yeah,
you're
100%. Yeah.
your drawing is so dynamic as well. So issues 41 and 42, and even this panel here, it conveys motion so well. Like you can, as you're playing that music in your background, you can see how your drawing comes across to almost it's almost animated on
Well,
2D paper, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
well, I think that's, again, I'll hark back to my animation background. Like, I think when I'm doing comics in my head, the panels are animated, if that makes sense. Like I'm just trying to
Yeah.
I'm trying to freeze frame the best shot of that anime. Like it plays as an animation in my head, and it's like, okay, I need to freeze frame this and then draw it like this. So
No, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it definitely comes through. So.
Okay, and whenever I saw the cover for issue 44, I thought of issue 12's cover of Gert, the samurai Gert there, and the bodies of mushrooms laying on the ground, disembodied. And then for your cover, there's a what appears to be a leprechaun, disembodied, spelling Gert. Is this a revenge issue, or is there how much can you give away on this issue here?
well, I think the cover sort of speaks for itself a little bit.
That's true. Well, yeah, well said.
I think it's implied that this particular character isn't too thrilled with Gert, and yeah, there was definitely like playing a bit of homage to Skottie's cover as well, and yeah, I'm drawing that issue literally right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
That's really cool.
It's fun. Like I'll spoil something else. Not really spoiler, but it's just a little.
That's what we're going for.
So in this one particular scene, I'm going to be inking it with a bit more of a thought of like manga comics. Like there's a particular scene. And so I'm going to use like a G pen, and I'm going to try to use my traditional screen tones on it as well for just this.
Awesome.
There's a couple pages that just kind of like make sense, and so I'm going to try to pull it off. And so those pages might be fun to get a hand on if you get a chance at some point, because it's to get those traditionals. Because I have like a drawer. I have like this drawer full of screen tones. Like it's insane. It has so many screen tones. Like I need to use these.
Oh wow!
So,
yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna. I think it's a good excuse.
Screen tones for days. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to doing that. It's gonna be time consuming, but I think it's gonna be worth it. I kind of ran it by the team. I'm like, for this scene, I kind of want to do it more traditional manga, sort of look. So, yeah, and. I had ran out and bought like Vagabond and Lone Wolf and Cub.
Nice. Like get in that mode.
Yeah, like I just needed to like get inspired by this issue. So before I even started working on the issue, I had purchased those books just to kind of like get myself right in the headspace. And yeah, so.
Well, that is super exciting.
You get to parody Mignola, and now you get to parody Sakai, and it's so cool that he's doing the ratio variant for this issue. Him and his wife Julie did the cover on the far right, because I saw that just Sakai, and I had to look that up. I was, oh yeah, it's Julie and Stan. So that's so cool to get to homage some of these legendary artists. And I did that kind of leads me to my question that I meant to ask you, and I forgot. But in the Free Comic Book Day, we saw all these different genres spread across a double page splash, and there was a nod. It looked like to Frank Miller in that as well. Is that going to be in an upcoming issue, or is that
you know what? To be honest, I don't know, but I hope so.
Okay.
And I think it was like when Skottie said like, so he had said to me, "Do you want to do 1 or 2 pages spreads?" in this free comic book day, and it's just going to be like sort of a bit of a tease of what could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he threw out some ideas, and then he's like, if you just have other ideas, go for it. Like, I think the Attack on Titan little nod was
Yes.
mine
Yep. Yep.
Love
in
that.
there. And Skottie had mentioned the Avatar thing, so we kind of have a
Yeah.
little bit of an Avatar. That's where that Avatar spoof came from.
That's hilarious. I love
The warplane stuff, that was sort of like what ended up becoming what is issue 43.
that. Okay.
So a little bit of like not exactly, but like that was like
Yeah.
sort of like inspired
Okay.
that, because we like, I think Skottie and I had talked about like a couple of different ideas of like, hey, what would be fun to do with Gert, and like what kind of worlds be fun to put her in. So yeah, the that was just fun to do that, like be able to riff and like do some fun stuff. And we got to sneak in like the Helicorn stuff, the Frank Miller nod for Sin
Yes.
City.
Yep.
And putting Larry as like the dame sort of, and just it was just fun. So I hope we get to spoof that. That would be amazing. Like, to be honest, that would be amazing.
I mean, yeah, even and obviously hoping that we do, but even if we don't, getting just those 2-page spreads of all those ideas and styles was just such a blast at the end of that free comic book day. And just really set up what we've already gotten with issues 41 and 42, and going to get further on with 43 and 44. But I mean, it's exciting, just I like you said, just as much as for you as it is for us, which is really awesome. So
no, totally. And I think that's like, I mean, those spreads sort of do speak to the vibe of what we're kind of going after. And it's fun. Like, it's so incredibly fun.
well, you're hoping for the Sin City, Dustin. I'm really hoping for the
that's
Attack on Titan now is what I'm aiming for. I would love to see.
Well, like
Gert Attack on
when I
Titan.
did the Witch of Wickerson is like a little bit of an Attack on Titan,
Oh, that's awesome.
a little thing there. And because I just, and I would love to see like Gert, just a giant Gert, like terrorizing this like
Yes.
little community of like something. Like, I could just see her just going to town. A sort of like what is that, like Oliver?
Oliver Twist and
Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
No, not Oliver.
And as I said,
Gulliver's Travels.
Gulliver's Travels.
Gulliver's
Gulliver's
Travels.
Travels. Yes.
Yeah.
Like spoofing that, like would be amazing to do. So I'll be prodding Skottie. I'll be like, hey, can we do something like this? And
fingers crossed. That's so good.
That's
Do you
have art for those pages that you could show on the screen, or is that put? I mean, if it's not accessible,
what's that for
the double pages from the free comic book day?
Do I have that?
I just think it'd be cool to see. If they're not accessible, don't sweat it. I just saw those and thought, man,
you know what? Give me 30 seconds. Okay.
Hey, take your time.
That is too good. And that's so funny. Yeah, certain things that I didn't catch. So
yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up. And I forgot to even include it in the slides. So
no, that was a good call. Yeah, I completely blanked on those double page. So I'm glad you had it handy to be able to get real quick. So
well, that was the copy Seth gave me at Hero. So thank you, Seth. You have contributed to the show once again.
Now you owe him.
Now I owe him. Great. The amount of claims and dibs I've seen popping up on my phone.
Here, just for fun, I'll blow up that. Again, it's just
that's
sitting
nice.
there. It's almost like you could just reach through the screen and grab it.
Yeah. You see a hand like come through the side. And
The shadow, yeah.
like swiper, no swiping. It's like, yep.
Okay, I'm back. I got I got some other stuff too. I'll show you.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
So
I got the original pages I did.
The Untold Tales, it looks like. That's awesome.
Yeah, I got those as well. What do you want to see first?
Oh my gosh.
You want to see the Untold first?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Whichever
one, yeah.
you have close. That's perfect.
Oh man.
Judge Gertie.
This isn't in order, but
no, it doesn't matter. It's good to see it.
So good. And so this is where you decided then to even with this one to go, physical with the inking and everything. It seems.
Yeah. I thought at the time I was like, oh, maybe I'll sell them at some point, and so that was sort of
that's awesome, man.
That's so yeah. I'm so glad to know that these were also physical. So
Yeah, everything I've done for Fairyland, I've done physical.
Derek, is there any pages that you've done so far throughout this series and Untold that you think I
mm.
want to keep this? I want this one's
Oh
not
man, look
hitting the
at that!
market. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. That was fun.
Gosh, that's a good page.
Um, uh, I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I really don't know the answer to that question.
Oh man.
Because that's that one. You see that whole thing?
Oh
I
my
don't know. Maybe
gosh.
not.
Pretty much most of it gets
Holy
captured.
cow. Yeah, we could see.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we
Wow.
didn't really
I
have
love that image. It's
we didn't have
perfect.
a story. We didn't have a story established yet for Helicorn here. So I spoofed um the corpse with the Hellboy issue, the corpse. So
Yes.
I
Yeah.
made Gert the corpse in that one.
I love that. Yeah, and not spoiling anything, a little nod like that in the issue as well. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
The Frank Miller.
So
Yeah.
this was like Scottie's like do something like horror
Mm.
esque. And
The Gert you love in the dark.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And this was our Miller spoof. I had to do her with the bandages, the Marv.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Marv. Yeah.
that's so cool. Yeah.
So that was fun. And
I mean, just being able to fit all that on one page and have it still like just stand out and be unique on its own. I mean, it was just so fun to go over these pages multiple times and catch all this stuff.
yeah,
So
it's so much like fun sort of stuff going on. This was like the Avatar spoof. Um,
oh, it's
you
so
know,
good.
just Larry with his little braids, and little and yeah, just like wacky stuff, like
Yeah.
like this, like I don't
Yeah.
know, like she's like it's like this key. I got like the keys popping, and she's trying to strangle, get this key out of its mouth. Just winging it.
Oh, that's good, man.
Hilarious.
The little like underwater world. I'm like, it'd be fun if she went underwater and did some underwater sort of like Aquaman sort of thing, or
Yeah.
Neymar, and that was our
I love that.
fun one there. I think this was like a little bit of a idea of like I guess what inspired Skottie. He probably had an idea for what like was coming with issue 44 a little bit, because he told
Mm.
me to do something with the samurai scene. So yeah, that was just fun, like just drawing like Gert with all the arrows and ninja stars on her back. And
Yeah, that one was that whole corner was just so awesome. Her facing off against this like mushroom character. It's just and the arrows coming out of her back. It's just such a dynamic pose.
yeah, that was fun. So yeah, it was a
That's
challenging
so
thing to
cool.
just knock those out. And
Yeah.
but it was fun. I'm glad I did it. And it helped me sort of, I think, too, like dive in a little bit, because that was kind of before we really started going like on the series. So
Yeah.
it was a nice, like, okay, I'm going to just dive headfirst into this world.
I was gonna ask that because I was curious if that's was kind of the Untold Tales, or like you said, because you didn't know you were going to be on the series full time.
Yeah, like, well, because like Untold
like
Tales, I
that.
think was probably, a few years, I want to say that was like 2023.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was about a couple years removed. So I was a little bit rusty on like, how I would maybe draw Gert and my approach to her. And I'm still a little bit trying to figure it out. Like there's that thing where, I was always trying to find the balance of like my style and Scottie's original style. I tried
Yeah.
not to, and no like slight towards Brett at all, but I wanted to sort of like, if I was going to like sort of spoof, I guess, or just sort of like pay homage to style, I wanted to go back to the original sort of look. And because I didn't want to be like a copy of a copy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No,
That's
for sure.
perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Totally.
So I tried to because like I love Brett. I've been such a fan of Brett's for so long, and
Incredible.
I was quite jealous when he took over Fairyland. Like I was like, of course he'd take it. He's amazing, and he's a much better illustrator than I am. It's like so like but yeah, I didn't want to. Yeah, it was like I was sort of like made a mental note to just go, okay, but before I start this, I don't want to dive into what Brett was doing with the character. because I didn't want to be a copy of a copy of a copy. So I thought I'll just go back to just studying Skottie's version, and I sort of try to reference Skottie's version of Gert as much as I can, and then sort of try to make it my mix of mine and his. So it still feels like, and that was another thing
Yeah.
too. Like coming on, being the third artist now, on the series was like for the fans. Like I wanted it to feel like it was a smooth enough transition. It wasn't like a shock stylistically. Not it's obviously going to be different because I have a different approach and a different style, but at the same time, I needed to feel like it fit, and I hope that's what I'm getting across. Like I hope I'm getting that.
Yeah. No, I was gonna
sense
say
of
100% you are. I mean, that's what I
Absolutely.
was gonna say was, I mean, job well done, because I mean, both to you and Brett, being able to take over something like that, I'm sure is kind of a daunting task. Like you said, you want it to be familiar enough for people to want to keep reading it, because that's, very much a thing with comics where art styles can, kind of put off people from continuing a series. And that hasn't been the case at all with this. Honestly, like I said, I explained it as like
Yeah.
the Doctor Who of comics, where the underlying skeleton of Skottie is there, but
yes,
having your art, it's clear which one is on the wall versus Brett Beans versus even the other Untold Tale artists and all that kind of stuff. And that's what's so cool and what makes this comic so awesome. And the fact that it's almost reaching issue 50 now is the fact that it can continue to run and breathe that fresh air of life, get that new spin on it with your art style. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
it's got such a big fan base too as well, and we fell in love with Brett's art, and Brett was the first artist guest that we had on our show here, and he was a
nice,
perfect gentleman. I mean, we fanboyed over his art, and then whenever we heard he was leaving, you always kind of hesitate, who's the next artist coming on,
right.
what kind of style they're gonna have, and then as soon as you were announced, Tyler messaged me and it's like, all right, we got this, we're good, we're in good hands.
yeah,
So,
because it was funny because like
yeah,
Brett,
so
I
Thanks
was
for having faith.
unfamiliar. No, 100%, because like I was unfamiliar with Brett until Skottie mentioned him and stuff. And then he mentioned I was like, oh, well, duh. Like that makes total sense. Like
we're
you
good,
already
we're
did the
good.
Untold Tales. Like this is gonna be amazing. I can't wait for this. And yeah, I mean you've crushed it with these first two issues and just the art you've shown us. And yeah,
Well, the
I
two
can't
double
wait to
page
continue to see you
splashes
too.
was like sealed the deal. That was like, all right, yeah, you can lead me
Yeah,
where
it
you're
was it
going.
was a
We're
great
good.
idea
Yeah,
to,
so,
to yeah have that in with the free comic book day. So
Yeah, definitely.
all right. So we talked a little bit about the design for Inoki and let's see. I'm seeing we're approaching 2 hours, Tyler. This is going to break our
I know,
record.
yeah, we're
Yeah,
nearing
but
the end here slide
I
wise.
could
Oh,
talk all
jeez.
night. Yeah. So, but the big question, yeah, you had said, I'd asked you a couple of months ago about coming on as a guest appearance, and we had talked a little bit, and you're like, well, maybe I'll know what I'm going to do with the original art at that time. And then yesterday you said, well, we can talk about how I don't know what I'm going to do with the original art. So, yeah, so we're good with talking about. But this is a new panel that's on your shop under
Yeah.
original art. So if you want to, anything you want to add to that, you're free
Yeah,
to. Or,
so I think it's like I
oh,
so the challenge there's a couple challenges with selling the originals. I had I thought like, okay, I have an online store, I can sell it myself. And I'm perfectly capable of doing that. But part of me was like, am I going to be able to reach the people who want the pages? That's the other thing too, right? Because there's obviously, if you want to own a piece of original I Hate Fairyland art, you're going to want to be a big fan of it. I would imagine. I mean,
right.
I'm sure I'll get a couple fans of just my work that is, willing to buy some pages, and that's great. But the majority of people that probably these pages are going to go to are the fans of the book. So that's part of the challenge too, of just going like, okay, am I just going to throw them up on my website? And how do I sort of reach that audience? And also pricing, like, as
Yeah,
well, like making sure that they're priced right.
Right.
The covers are priced right, the interiors are priced right. At one point in time, I had like ideas about maybe selling issues as a whole. But there's pros and cons to that as well. Like, obviously, one, you're really limiting who can get it, which isn't great. And then also, you're you're alienating a lot of fans. So like,
Yeah, and
you
also
know,
if you sell complete too, the person that buys, if they decide to break it up, they kind of
right,
set the mark and just kind of flood the market with your art, and they can kind of
right.
set the price, and it kind of takes it out of your hands as well.
Yeah, and then they almost like become a weird like sub art dealer of your
Yeah.
work,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
isn't great either. And you know, I also don't love the idea of necessarily going with an art dealer myself. Like, and I don't know if that's really a good way to go. I've seen people doing that. I sort of I'll poke around at like different art dealers and see what artists that I like that are over at certain ones and. I'm like, maybe this person, maybe this, but um, yeah. So I think ultimately I'm probably going to just post them to my page,
Okay.
Mm.
and I'll probably get Scotty's input into like how best to price things because I think he's got a good handle on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
And again, like it's a new world for me, like selling the original stuff, um, and yeah, so that's sort of where I'm at. I'm just sort of waiting to pull the trigger, I guess, on a decision. What I would do though is I would make sure that it's like gives enough leeway for people to know it's coming,
Right.
and do a timed sort of drop, um,
Mm.
sort of thing. Uh, and just try to figure out what the best strategy is. Like maybe releasing it like half an issue at a time, maybe as well. I don't know, like.
That's what Brett did on the whenever he released issue
Mhm.
21 or issue 1. He did the first 10 pages, I believe, on his website,
Yeah.
Okay.
and kind of blocked them off like that for the sale just to make sure. Yeah, Dustin, upgrade your internet. Yeah, my Wi-Fi will never be able to get anything, but yeah, he blocked them off, and it made it more accessible for you. Didn't have to browse through 40 pages worth of stuff. You could look at the 10 and pick out the one you wanted the most and get
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
Well,
like
I'm
that.
sure
So
it
I think that's a
helps too, being one man army or two person army, whatever it is. That way it limits it on your end as well.
For
But
sure.
it's interesting because as somebody who's still relatively new to buying original art, I've done a few of that now where it's I bought directly from Brett through his website, or even Brett Parson, who did one of the Untold Tales and
yeah.
was going to take over for I Hate Fairyland, which
Yeah.
didn't work out. Or like you said, then going through art representatives and buying it through there and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting because I can imagine that conundrum of there's no real right technical way to do it. It's just yeah, just figuring out which way it is you want to go to end up going with. So
And we'll make
Yeah.
sure and promote it pretty heavily. I mean, we're up to 9,200 members on the Skottie Young Appreciation Group. So,
That's
however you
great.
decide to sell it, we'll make sure and promote it as heavily as we
after
can
we
on
buy
there.
our pieces, of course,
After
and
we
then
buy our
Yeah,
pieces,
you
of
guys get
course.
first dibs. Is that?
That's,
exactly.
that's yeah. Now you get it. So,
Now we're
no, no,
kicking.
no. We just want to be supportive.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Appreciate it.
No, I mean, it's like I said, it's one of the coolest things about this comics now is I first started with Brett and then recently just picked up an official page from Skottie, which I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do.
Oh, it's amazing.
So now the ability to be able to possibly get a piece from you, it's just really
Sure.
cool to be able to get these different generations and to see the different styles and just kind of how it continued to grow over the years, which is really cool. So
I was going to
just one
share.
out of piece here.
Yeah, this was from Brett's first issue, his double page splash.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is straight from his
That's such a
website.
great one.
Yeah, I love because it
That's
kind of
insane.
tells the story up what Skottie had did as a recap story of it, which is a little different than the way that your introduction was. But yeah, I mean that was getting art like that, whether it's from Skottie, for Brett, Bean, or Parson, or yourself. It's just an honor to be able to display it on the walls and
Yeah.
just kind of show the support for the artist and the title as a whole.
Nice. Nice.
No, 100%.
Oh, this is the promotion page. Yeah,
I'm
I'm
gonna say,
glad you
yeah,
put this
so-
together, Tyler. This is really
Yeah,
good.
so this is everywhere you can find Derek that that I'm following or that been able to find. So his website, you can purchase his comics, his books, all through that site. He started a Substack recently, which I was excited to see because Brett Bean's on there, Skottie's on there. More and more people are coming onto there, which has been really nice to be able to follow
That's
everybody kind of in one space, kind of like Blogspot, and how that stuff used to be. And then as well as your Instagram and then Blue Sky as well, which you were really active on Blue Sky, which I thought was I'd been meaning to post more on there myself because I just still haven't gotten used to having that in my repertoire of places to post. So
Yeah, Blue Sky has been pretty solid. It gets pretty good numbers. I'd say it's almost at par with Twitter. Like it's got that sort of like, it's about the same interaction. Yeah, the art community kind of grew pretty good over there. yeah, I was able to kind of get in early and kind of like get my numbers up, so that helped.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. That's awesome. And then, yeah, that's that final one, again, was the Patreon. So again, it's, it's a monthly subscription. There's 2 tiers that you can get. But like it says in the banner, you get, exclusive content, process videos, all that kind of stuff. And it's
Yeah,
really cool.
there's over, I think there's over 300 posts now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to say,
Seven
out
out
of most of the Patreon people I follow, you are by far one of the best in terms of the content itself, how much there is. So
Thanks.
Yeah, so
I
if
try.
you're not
I
following,
try.
yeah, so sign up for
see.
Derek's Patreon and please visit his shop and pick up at least one book if you're watching tonight to help support the artist. I mean, that's
Well,
and I,
that's definitely a place where I share like the pencil sketches and the concept art for the books and things like that, like for each issue of Fairyland and all that stuff. So
I'm glad you put this slide on here, Tyler, because you had told me that you were a member, and I'd completely forgot that about the Patreon with Derek, so I'm going to have to sign up as well. So this will at least you'll get one new member for that tonight
I
from me.
appreciate it.
So no problem.
No, it's been great, and like he said, he's been posting I Hate Fairyland stuff. You've got the new Crimson Falls stuff as well. So yeah, it's honestly, Patreon's one of my, again, just that whole idea of just directly supporting the artists that you love and follow, and just giving back to them in just that way, and it's such a more so tight-knit community, it feels like, kind of like Substack and everything. So
Definitely.
All right, guys, everybody's hanging with. We hit the 2-hour mark. We've got. I just want to give everybody.
They're all sick of me now.
Yeah, when are we going to do the giveaway?
Come on, the giveaway.
Yeah, the giveaway is definitely worth it. The giveaway is worth it. So, did I jump?
And the
ahead or-
giveaway
okay.
is now.
Oh, the giveaway is now. Okay, cool.
It's now.
Okay, I did not know you added this slide since I seen it. So yeah. All right. How many we got?
And I'm about to say, yeah, to blow that back up, this is both signed and sketched. For anybody who was here, we got to see the sketch live, which was such an awesome contribution. We can't thank you enough. So
yeah, I was crossing my fingers that we would get to see that. And I didn't want to put any pressure on Derek at all since he was kind enough to come on here, but we do appreciate him doing some live art on the show. It's the first, it's the first time we've gave away art, but it's also the first time that we've had any live art done on the show. So
great.
A lot of firsts tonight, Derek. Thank you.
Two birds. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm glad this camera worked, and maybe the next time I come on, I'll get my other stuff sorted, and you can actually see my face.
Well, I will be frozen, hopefully, most of the show next time you come on. So I keep seeing Seth laughing because I think I'm froze up for everybody watching at home. So we'll
no, it's funny enough. I don't know when it kicked in, but your internet finally kicked in. You've been smooth for like the past 30 40 minutes.
I haven't noticed too many hiccups in your audio, so it's been good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So just to let everybody be aware, so we're going to be doing a question. And it's based off of something that may or may not have been in slides. And that question is, what 2 characters inspire the character Sir Duncross from Crimson Falls? First person who comments the 2 characters will win this incredibly awesome sketch and signed edition of Crimson Fall. I'm gonna wait for those comments to come in. Yeah. People are going back like, wait, where was it? I gotta go back in the video, or if they remember. An hour, 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
It was a while.
Yeah. And Britain wins.
I think, Ryan seems to be, Ryan
the
Pratt.
Hound and John McClane. Even though,
congratulations.
Yeah. What is the Hound's real name? We need to know the Hound's real name for the
the actor's real full name.
Rory.
Right name.
All right. So congratulations, Ryan. You know me. So shoot me a message on Facebook, and I'll order the book when I get to work tomorrow, and put your address in there as the ship too. Are you in the U.S. or Canada, Ryan? I can't remember. We've got a lot of Ryans in our group, Derek. So we
got a few, yeah.
I'll tell you what. You just send me his address. You don't have to buy it. I'm going to send it to him. Don't worry about it. No. I insist. As a thank you for having me on the show. We ship stuff all the time to the U.S. So hopefully he's in the U.S.
Okay. Zimbabwe. No, we'll get that information.
Nice of you to do.
Just send me his address and we'll get it out in our next orders. I think orders usually go on Mondays. So
Oh, that
Mondays.
is
Yep.
awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is too
Now,
kind.
now I really have to sign
Oklahoma.
up for the
There you
Patreon.
go.
Yeah, so
Oklahoma. So you're
thank you,
good to
Derek.
go.
Oklahoma. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, I'll get that sent to you as soon as he sends it to me, Derek, and
Sounds good.
we'll get it taken care of. Thank you very much, Derek, for doing that.
Yeah, seriously, that's really awesome.
In the last few slides, we do these at the end of every show. That's just new releases that are out, and obviously 3 of those are books that you have work contributed to. And I Hate Fairyland 42.
Yep.
That's the cover A, cover B, and the ratio variant that Skottie did, which he inked live on an Instagram live page as well. So
How good is Scottie's Helicorn? Like, it's like, it makes me just angry. Like, I'm just like, I've been
Yeah.
drawing this character for an old issue, and then his Scottie just comes in and like whips it up, and I'm like, oh, that's way better than mine.
Did you watch the video? Did you watch the video of him inking it? Because
No, I didn't. I didn't get to watch it. No.
he's like, you got to be fast, Megan. You got to be fast, and we'll be done. I ink really fast. So yeah, but man, I love your cover. I do love your cover. Scottie's cover's nice. It's okay, but your cover's better. I'll say that. Skottie will be mad at me, but I'll say that.
That's
And
Scotty. Yeah,
he will never sell me art again.
Yeah, you're off the
Exactly.
list.
Yeah, on the band wall.
And also coming out, this was like the plethora of Skottie books. Beneath the Trees, his
Yeah.
variant cover for that, along with his.
sorry.
Yes, we are a well-oiled machine. I think we're still. There we go. No, that was my bad. I inserted that slide. We'll talk about that in just a second. But his first of 5 issues for Fantastic Four connecting covers, and his facsimile, which I always have trouble saying, the regular, the foil, and the blank, all those released today. So pick them up at your local comic shop.
All I Hate
Actually,
Fairyland movies.
one thing before I forget, I want to announce. I don't know if there's anybody, any Canadians from like the sort of London, Ontario area out there that are listeners of yours, but I'm doing a signing at Heroes this coming Saturday. It's like a little mini con they're putting on for like 3 hours in the afternoon. They got a bunch of local artists, and I'll be doing signings there. So
Villains Con. We
I
talked
knew-
about that. We forgot to add that to the slide.
I was like, I
Me
knew
and
there was
Tyler had
something I
talked about
forgot to
that.
add slide wise.
well, I was just like, I'm like, what do I got
that?
coming up? I knew I had something coming up. I'm like, oh yeah, that.
No,
Should
no,
mention
no.
Literally the coming up section. I was like, there's something I'm forgetting. That was it. So.
Hey, I
If you go
forgot
to
to use.
If you go to Derek's Substack, it is in his last post that he put in Substack, the announcement for it. So, yeah, if you're in Canada, go up there and support Derek and the other artists there. But I believe it's called Villains Con.
Yes.
And we apologize for not having that slide in here. We meant to.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Just ran out
We're
of time.
professionals here, as you can tell.
So, yeah. Last but not least, we wanted to. This was issue 42 was the first issue that had the new titles for Skottie and his crew at Stupid Fresh Mess. But Megan is now Chief Boss Officer, and John is Chief Shipping Dungeon Officer. I ran out of lemonade about 10 minutes ago, so my mouth is like gluing together now, dude. So I apologize. But congratulations. That's awesome to see them on the inside cover of the book. So congratulations to that whole crew there.
They're a good group.
Here, and I can actually quickly.
Okay. Yeah, we're
I
gonna
just sent the
make
link.
amends.
This is the image. So yeah, it's like Saturday, July.
Oh, good.
12th,
You're quick.
12th.
Good man. Good man. Yeah.
Yeah, if you see
He's
my
our-
eyes
he's our
rolling
tech
up to the
guy.
back of my head, that's just my second monitor I'm staring at. So, yep,
If you
there
see-
it's there, the top second left there, and along with some other awesome looking artists, and yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah,
And
it's fun to
Derek-
support the local shows. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Derek will be selling issues 41 and 42's original art for I Hate Fairyland at this show. So get your passports ready, fellas. We're heading.
We're flying out.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Uh,
Well, Derek, you have been such a trooper tonight, man. Through technical issues and 2 hours of us babbling on, we appreciate it so much.
no, it's
you coming on
fantastic.
here. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.
Absolute pleasure.
yes.
Yeah, we'll have to
Absolute
do it
blast
again
on
sometime.
Yes, sir.
Would absolutely love that.
Yeah. We'll set you up on a weekly basis or a monthly
Okay,
basis.
all
We're- No.
You can just build Dustin. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. We'll take your rate, but we're loving to see this rise of your recognition more. You have such a great fan base based upon your Instagram followers and everything else, but now you're reaching a new audience with I Hate Fairyland for Skottie's verse. So it's great to see you get this recognition because your art, you were kind of naysaying your art earlier and comparing it to Brett's, but yeah, man, you hold your own. You do a
Thank you,
great
thank
job.
you.
So thank you very much.
No,
appreciate it.
100%. Yeah. And again, it's what's so cool is it's, especially now it's a lot of original content, creator owned stuff, which is always awesome to see from people, Skottie's I Hate Fairyland reaching 50 and you jumping on in your own Crimson Fall books and everything. I mean, it
Absolutely.
honestly makes it even more fun, or just as much fun, if not more fun than, collecting, from the IPs and stuff we all know and love. So
Amazing.
All right, well, guys, I think we better call it. So Derek, he's got issue
Yeah,
44 to finish inking, and we got to finish seeing issue 42's original art. So we're gonna call it a night. Thank you, Derek. Tyler,
Yeah.
you can sign us
Thank
off.
you so much.
yes,
Anything else you want to plug, real quick, before we get off
Yeah.
here, Derek?
For me, no. That's it. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And thanks everybody who tuned in.
Yes, sir.
Yes, definitely pick up those that recent I Hate Fairyland issue 42 that just dropped, along with the facsimile covers. And as always, thank you for joining us on the show, joining us with Derek, for sticking with us as long as you do sometimes, as we like to talk. But everyone, stay fresh, live messy, and we'll catch y'all next week.